I was reborn on the eve of the college entrance exam, and so was my best friend Lunaire. In our previous life, she used her future sight ability to steal my top exam score, take away my wealthy parents, and ultimately cause my tragic death. This time around, she's pulling the same trick, boasting in my ear, "I know all the future lottery numbers and stock market trends. What could you possibly use to compete with me?" I looked at her smug, self-satisfied face and immediately dialed a mysterious number. "Hello, I'd like to report someone claiming to be a reborn individual who says they can foresee the future." Rather than dealing with her exhausting drama, I figured it's better to hand her over to the authorities. I hung up the phone. The last thing I heard from the receiver was a calm, acknowledged, "Please await further contact." Lunaire was still standing right in front of me, her lips, painted with an elegant dusty rose lipstick, parted and closed as she spoke in a voice dripping with saccharine sweetness. "Juno, I know you're still upset about the guaranteed admission spot, but it's not my fault. You're the one who messed up the mock exam. No worries, though. I know all the future lottery numbers and stock market trends. If you play nice, I might just share a few with you." Chapter 1. What makes you think you can compete with me? She tilted her head with an innocent gesture, yet her words were dripping with venom. I stared at her smug face without saying a word. In my past life, she used this same condescending tone to systematically strip me of everything I had. She stole my position as the National College Entrance Exam top scorer, replaced me as the biological daughter of our wealthy parents. And finally, as I lay mangled and bleeding from the car accident she orchestrated, she stood over me arm in arm with my ex-boyfriend Ryder, looking down to tell me how thoroughly pleased she was with the life she'd crafted for me. Now she's trying to pull the same old trick again. Ryder's call came through at the worst possible moment. I put it on speakerphone. "Juno, what's the problem between you and Lunaire this time?" he said, his voice dripping with impatience. "She's not in good health. Can't you cut her some slack? Do you have to make every situation so awkward?" Lunaire immediately leaned closer to the phone, her voice trembling with tears, sounding both hurt and understanding. "Ryder, please don't blame Juno. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought up the guaranteed admission spot and upset her. I'm the one to blame here, so please don't be angry with Juno anymore." As she spoke, she silently mouthed two words at me: "Worthless." Ryder's tone on the other end of the line softened, just as expected. "Lunaire, you're just too kind. Juno, listen to how sensible Lunaire is. You should learn from her. Let me make this clear. If you dare bully Lunaire again, you'll have me to answer to." As I listened to the dial tone from my phone, that familiar suffocating feeling tightened in my chest again. It was just like my past life. No matter what Lunaire did, in Ryder's eyes she was always kind, fragile, and in need of protection. Even my very breath is considered wrong. "Hear that, Juno?" Lunaire beamed with delight. "Ryder's heart belongs to me now, and soon, everything that's yours will be mine. Your parents, your home, your future. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you something." She leaned close to my ear and whispered in a voice meant only for us. "Your adoptive parents' company will go bankrupt in 6 months due to a disastrous investment decision, leaving them drowning in debt until they both jump from a building. And that disastrous business decision, just a little trade secret I happened to let slip. I wonder, when you've lost everything, will you get down on your knees and beg me?" I ignored her taunts. I simply picked up my phone, and right in front of her, blocked and deleted Ryder's contact in one smooth motion. Then I looked up and met her gaze calmly. "Lunaire, have you ever considered what would happen if the government found out about your future sight ability?" The smile froze on Lunaire's face. She looked as if she'd just heard the most ridiculous joke. "Juno, have you lost your mind? Who do you think you are? Do you really think the government would believe such nonsense? Go ahead and tell them. Let's see who'd even give you the time of day." I didn't waste another word on her. My phone vibrated with an incoming text message. It was from an unknown encrypted number. "MS, Juno, we require preliminary evidence regarding your report. Please provide a verifiable public event that is imminent and has limited impact." I stared at Lunaire's face, contorted with jealousy and spite. Well, look what we have here. The evidence has arrived." I leisurely replied to that text message. 3 days from now, at 4 p.m., a small fire will break out at Jubaojai in the West City Antique Market. The cause is aging electrical wiring in the second-floor warehouse. At that moment, Lunaire will rush into the fire and rescue an important figure, Victor, the chairman of the forestry group, who will be inside selecting antiques. In her previous life, Lunaire used this heroic rescue to connect with Victor's family, paving the way for her eventual reunion with the wealthy elite. In this lifetime, I personally packaged this opportunity, along with her, and sent it straight to the heavens. Rather than wasting energy on a buzzing fly, it's better to call in the professionals. After all, littering is just wrong. After sending the text, I deleted all the records. The whole world fell into peaceful silence. Seeing me stay silent, Lunaire took it as fear, and her face grew even more smug. What's the matter? Run out of things to say. Starting to feel scared now. Let me make this clear, Juno. It's too late. You're destined to spend your life under my heel, so you'd better get used to it. With that, she turned and sashayed away, proud as a peacock. I didn't even glance her way and headed straight back to the classroom. The evening self-study bell had already rung, and the classroom was quiet except for the soft scratch of pens on paper. Ryder was sitting right in front of me. He didn't look back, but his ramrod-straight spine radiated silent accusation. I pulled out the 5-3 mock exam booklet and started working through the final math problem. In my previous life, it was during this very period before the college entrance exams that Lunaire and Ryder's constant undermining threw me off balance, causing me to miss my chance at Peking University. Meanwhile, Lunaire leveraged the problem-solving techniques she'd wheedled out of me and the essay topics she'd foreseen to clinch the title of provincial top scorer. In this lifetime, I won't let anything disrupt my rhythm again. My thoughts returned to that complex function problem, with various auxiliary lines and formulas clearly taking shape in my mind. 10 minutes later, I put down the final stroke. The solution process was flawless. I had just set down my pen when a note was passed forward from the desk ahead, carrying the crisp scent of pine that always clung to Ryder. Meet me in the hallway. The sharp pen strokes carried an unmistakable tone of command. I crumpled the note into a tight ball and sent it sailing perfectly into the trash can at the back of the room. He didn't seem to expect that reaction from me. His back stiffened for a moment. A few minutes later, another note was passed over. Juno, don't push it. I picked up the pen and wrote 2 words on the back of the note, spit it out, then tossed it back. Classmates nearby began noticing the commotion, casting curious glances our way. Ryder's back stiffened even more. He shot to his feet, the chair legs scraping against the floor with a piercing screech. Juno, get out here. He spoke through gritted teeth, his voice low but commanding enough to hush the entire classroom. All eyes were on us. I slowly lifted my head and met his eyes, which were blazing with fury. There was a time when my own reflection used to shimmer in those very eyes. When did it all start to change? Probably around the time Lunaire transferred to our school. She was a student my parents sponsored, living with our family, always dressed in a faded old uniform. She'd trail timidly behind me, calling me Sister Juno. With an air of pure innocence, she gradually inserted herself between Ryder and me. And Ryder fell for it completely. He started seeing Lunaire as this pitiful soul, viewing me as domineering, and insisting I should be more understanding and accepting of her. In my past life, I genuinely tried to learn understanding and tolerance just to keep him by my side. I lost everything. Juno, Ryder's tone grew sharper as he saw me hesitating. Do you really want to make a spectacle of yourself in front of everyone? I stood up, my head barely reaching his chin. I looked up at him and said clearly, Ryder, let's break up. The entire classroom erupted in an uproar. Ryder was stunned too. He probably never expected me to be the one to end things. In his eyes, it's always been me chasing after him, the one who couldn't live without him. Very well. What did you say? He asked, a hint of astonishment in his voice. I said we're breaking up. I repeated, from now on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. We're even. With that, I stopped looking at him, picked up my backpack from the desk, and walked straight out of the classroom. As I stepped out of the building, the evening breeze brushed against my face, carrying the stifling heat of early summer. I let out a long, deep breath. The heavy boulder that had been weighing on my chest for 10 years seemed to finally crack open. The phone vibrated again. Same encrypted number. Copy that. West Precinct has the perimeter secured. Watch your 6. The next 2 days passed without incident. Lunaire stopped bothering me, and so did Ryder. He probably thinks I'm just throwing a tantrum, and in a few days I'll come crawling back to him with my tail between my legs, just like before. Too bad I'm not a dog, I'm a phoenix, reborn from the ashes. Chapter 2. It was Friday afternoon, and the last period was self-study. I was working through a physics problem when my phone lit up silently under the desk. It was that encrypted number, target sighted. I checked the time. It was almost 4 o'clock. The show is about to begin. I put down my pen, stood up, and asked the teacher for permission to leave, saying I wasn't feeling well and needed to go to the infirmary. After leaving the teaching building, instead of heading to the infirmary, I made my way to the alley behind the school. A black Hongqi sedan was parked at the entrance of the alley. Its window rolled down to reveal a stern, square-jawed face. Juno, get in. The interior was spacious, besides the driver. A middle-aged man in a mouse suit sat in the passenger seat. He introduced himself as Kevin, the lead for this operation. We've confirmed that Lunaire entered the antique market at 3:50 and went straight to the second floor of Jubaozhai. Kevin handed me a tablet. The screen displayed live surveillance footage from inside and outside Jubaozhai. I saw Lunaire. She had clearly put effort into her appearance today, wearing a white dress with her long hair cascading over her shoulders. Giving off an air of pure innocence, she was pacing back and forth by the warehouse door on the second floor, glancing at her watch from time to time with a hint of anxiety in her expression. She was waiting for that fire. Not too big, not too small. Victor's here too, checking things out on the first floor, Kevin said, pointing to another screen. An elderly man in a tang suit, looking spry and sharp-eyed, was carefully examining a blue and white porcelain vase with a magnifying glass. Everything was unfolding exactly as I'd expected. Are you sure it will catch fire? Kevin asked, his gaze sharp as if scrutinizing me. Absolutely, I replied without hesitation. The cause is aged wiring in the northwest corner of the second-floor warehouse, connected to a high-power dryer. The flames won't be intense, but the smoke will be thick. This was what Lunaire had boasted to me after succeeding in our previous life. Without another word, Kevin quietly issued a few commands into his headset. I noticed several plainclothes officers, disguised as ordinary tourists, subtly moving closer to the exits of Jubiozai. A fire engine had also quietly positioned itself 2 blocks away. An inescapable net was slowly closing in. The prey at the center of the web remained completely unaware. For a clock sharp, on the surveillance feed, a faint wisp of blue smoke emerged from the second-floor warehouse of Jubiozai. Then, the smoke began to thicken. Someone in the lobby shouted, "Fire!" The crowd began to stir. Victor, startled by the sudden commotion, looked up toward the second floor. Just then, Lunaire sprang into action, pressing a handkerchief over her nose and mouth. She didn't follow the crowd rushing out. Instead, she pushed against the flow of people and charged toward the second floor without hesitation. Quick! Someone went upstairs. Someone shouted from the surveillance room. Don't rush. Kevin's voice was steady. Let her play her part. I saw Lunaire dash to the second floor and locate Victor with precision. Sir, it's dangerous here. Let me help you out, she urged, half guiding, half dragging Victor down the stairs. Thick smoke made her cough uncontrollably, and her white dress was smudged with grime, leaving her looking both disheveled and heroic. Victor was visibly moved by the young woman who risked her own safety to rescue him. Just as they reached the first floor, firefighters burst through the door. The fire was extinguished within minutes. Everything ended without any real danger. Lunaire helped Victor out of the treasure pavilion, where a crowd of onlookers had already gathered. She successfully became the center of attention. Victor held her hand and said emotionally, "Thank you, young lady. What's your name? If it weren't for you, this old bag of bones would have met his end here today." Lunaire gave a weak smile, perfectly conveying both her bravery and her selflessness. "It's no trouble at all, sir. I only did what anyone would have done. My name is Lunaire." She announced her name, her eyes gleaming with the triumph of a plan coming together. She thought she had seized destiny by the throat once again. Yet she failed to notice, at the edge of the crowd, Kevin spoke 2 icy words into his headset, "Move in." As the words faded, several plainclothes officers stepped forward. "Ms. Lunaire, I presume." The lead officer presented a crimson identification badge. "We're from the National Special Investigations Unit. You are now suspected of involvement in a case of arson and of stealing vital strategic intelligence concerning the nation's future. You'll have to come with us. The smile on Lunaire's face instantly froze. Who are you? What are you talking about? Lunaire's voice trembled. What arson case? What strategic information? I don't know anything about this. She instinctively stepped back, seeking refuge behind Victor. Grandpa, they're bad people. They're trying to capture me. Victor was also bewildered by the commotion, instinctively shielding Lunaire behind him. Comrade, there must be some misunderstanding here. This young lady saved my life. The lead plainclothes officer remained expressionless. Chairman, we're carrying out official duties. Please cooperate with us. As for whether she's your lifesaver, we'll determine that soon enough. As he spoke, he shot a meaningful glance at the person behind him. Two men immediately stepped forward, seizing Lunaire by both arms. Let go of me. What gives you the right to arrest me? Help! Lunaire finally panicked, beginning to struggle and scream frantically. Her pitiful facade was completely torn apart, revealing her hysterical true nature. Kevin pushed the car door open and stepped out. He walked straight up to Lunaire, his voice quiet yet carrying an air of authority. Lunaire, I suggest you behave yourself. Come with us, and you're assisting the investigation. Refuse, and it's resisting law enforcement. So what happened? The choice is yours. Lunaire looked at Kevin, then at the stone-faced plainclothes officers surrounding them. She finally realized these people weren't bluffing. Her body went limp as two men hoisted her up and dragged her toward an inconspicuous van parked at the other end of the alley. Before being forced inside, her eyes frantically scanned the crowd before finally locking onto the back seat of the red flag sedan. Through the tinted windows, she couldn't make out what was inside, yet she knew with absolute certainty that I was there. Her lips moved soundlessly, and I understood every word. Juno, it's you. I just stood there, watching silently as she was shoved into the car and disappeared down the alley. Inside the car, Kevin handed me a bottle of water. The initial interrogation will take some time. For your safety during this period, we'll have someone keeping a discreet watch over you. Additionally, here's the second incident that requires verification. He handed over a slip of paper. Written on it was a stock code. ST North Star 000988. Lunaire's bank records show she went all in yesterday, using her entire life savings to buy this stock. It's a worthless stock headed for delisting. 30 consecutive limit down crashes. Everyone's been steering clear of it, but our intel indicates North Star Group holds a breakthrough in a critical choke point technology previously monopolized abroad. The state has secretly funded it, and the announcement this coming Monday will send this stock soaring, at least 50-fold, right now. Only a handful of people are aware of this intelligence. How did she, Lunaire, an ordinary high school student, find out about this? Kevin looked at me with an intense gaze. I didn't answer his question. I knew this was my second test. Test the information I provided to see if it's genuine and exclusive. I understand, I said calmly. Behind me, there was a deathly silence. I won't make any moves before the college entrance exams. Kevin nodded, seemingly pleased with my pragmatism. The car started up again and took me back to the vicinity of the school. Before I got out, Kevin called out to me, Juno, if all your information proves accurate, your contribution to the nation would be immeasurable. The country never fails to honor those who serve with distinction. I got home to find my adoptive parents hadn't returned yet. Dinner they'd left for me was still warm on the table, with no appetite to speak of. I was heading to my room when my phone rang. It was Ryder. After I blocked him, he called from a different number. I swiped to answer. Through the receiver came the chaotic backdrop of a hospital and Ryder's tightly controlled, angry questioning. Chapter 3, Juno, where are you? Did you even know Lunaire's in trouble? She's been kidnapped. She called you for help. Why didn't you answer? Why did you block me? A barrage of accusations came firing through. I could practically visualize the veins bulging at his temples right now. Oh, I responded flatly. My indifference completely infuriated him. Oh, Juno, that's all you have to say. Lunaire is so kind-hearted. She considered you her best friend, and this is how you treat her. She was taken by those shady strangers, and we don't even know if she's alive or dead. How can you not care at all? I'm telling you, I've already called the police. They said they can't find her and it's outside their jurisdiction. I had to pull some strings through my dad's connections just to get a lead. They're saying Lunaire might have been taken by some secret agency. Are you involved in this? Where exactly did you go when you took the afternoon off? His voice was thick with suspicion. I didn't answer, but instead asked him, Ryder, what gives you the right to question me like this? We've already broken up, I reminded him. Her business is none of my concern, and my affairs are no longer yours. Beep. Within seconds he called back, and I hung up again with growing irritation. Moments later, a text message popped up. Don't say I didn't warn you, Juno. I looked at those words and laughed. Regret. The only thing I regret in this life is ever meeting scumbags like you. I was about to block this number too when another text came through. It was from Ryder. A photo. In the picture, Lunaire lay in a hospital bed, pale with an 4 in her arm, looking fragile and pitiful. Then came Ryder's message. After you left, Lunaire was so heartbroken it triggered a severe asthma attack. She almost didn't make it. The doctor said she can't handle any more stress. Juno, I'm begging you, please come see her and apologize. Will you do that? If you just apologize, we don't have to break up. I stared at the photo. My stomach churning violently, I nodded. Acute asthma. Lunaire has no history of asthma whatsoever. What kind of self-pitying act is she putting on this time? And Ryder actually stooped so low as to beg me not to break up with him, all for her sake. I tossed my phone onto the couch, my chest tight with frustration. Just then, my phone rang again. The screen displayed a familiar, encrypted number from a state agency. I took a deep breath and answered the call. On the other end, Kevin's voice carried a mix of barely contained excitement and solemnity. Classmate Juno, Lunaire has confessed. What did she confess? My voice remained calm. Everything. Kevin's tone carried a hint of emotion, far more than we ever imagined. She disclosed the timeline for every major technological breakthrough over the next 5 years, every instance of turbulence in the global financial markets, and even the precise dates and locations of several highly destructive natural disasters. The value of this information is beyond measure. Juno, on behalf of the center and the nation, I thank you. I held the phone, silent. In my past life, this information, meant to benefit the entire nation and its people, was exploited by Lunaire as a tool for her personal advancement, wealth accumulation, and harmful deeds. She watched the stock market crash, witnessing countless people lose everything, while she profited handsomely from their misfortune. She knew about the impending earthquake in advance, yet she only cared about taking Ryder and her new parents on an overseas vacation, turning a blind eye to the millions of fellow citizens facing certain death. She is nothing but a parasite gnawing away at the nation's future, and in this life, I personally delivered that parasite to where it truly belongs. How is she doing now? I asked. She's been placed at the 709 Research Institute on the outskirts of Beijing, our nation's most highly classified facility. She'll spend the rest of her life there as Strategic Intelligence Asset Zero. She'll receive the finest living conditions and medical care, but will never regain her freedom. Her task was to remember, day after day, dredging up every scrap of future knowledge stored in her mind. Kevin's tone was flat, as if he were mentioning some trivial matter. Yet I sensed a bone-chilling coldness beneath his words. For someone as selfish and status-obsessed as Lunaire, this was worse than death, endless confinement, day after day of exploitation. She will become a living database, a tool devoid of emotion, devoid of freedom, existing only for her value. This is the perfect revenge against her. I understand, I said, regarding that St. Beijing stock. We've verified everything. The information you provided is completely accurate. All traces of skepticism and probing had vanished from Kevin's tone, replaced by absolute trust. The higher-ups agree that as the initial discoverer and whistleblower, you deserve to be rewarded. The funds will be transferred to your account in installments under the designations of Act of Valor Award and Special Talent Subsidy. Additionally, what are your plans for the future? Take the college entrance exam, then attend Peking University. I replied, good. We'll clear all obstacles for you. Just focus on your exam preparation. After hanging up, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Lunaire, the biggest threat, has been completely eliminated. Ryder's harassing calls and texts kept coming. I paid no mind and threw myself into the final review sprint. A week later, the college entrance exams arrived as scheduled. I walked into the exam hall with a sense of calm I'd never known before. After finishing the last subject and stepping out of the school gate, I saw someone I never expected, Ryder. He stood under the plane tree at the school gate, his figure gaunt, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, looking utterly exhausted. When he saw me, he immediately came forward. "Juno," he said, his voice hoarse, "got a problem." I cut him off, my tone distant. My coldness seemed to catch him off guard. A wounded expression flashing across his face. "Lunaire, she's gone missing. I've called in every favor, reached out to every contact, but there's no trace of her. It's like she's vanished into thin air." "Juno, I know you're behind this, aren't you? Where did you take her?" He grabbed my wrist with a bone-crushing grip. I didn't struggle, just looked at him calmly. "Ryder, do you really think I'm capable of something like that? I'm just an ordinary high school student. But you, doesn't your Lunaire predict the future? Didn't she foresee this coming?" Ryder's face instantly turned pale. You know everything. What am I supposed to know?" I retorted. "That she can see the future, or that she's been playing you like a fiddle with that ability?" "No, that's not it. Lunaire wasn't deceiving me. He stammered, struggling to explain. "Enough." I shook off his hand. "Ryder, we're through. Don't ever come looking for me again. You disgust me." I turned and walked away without looking back. On the day the college entrance exam results came out, I checked my score, 718 points, top scorer in the province. I stared at the computer screen, speechless for a long while. In my past life, this score, this honor, should have been mine all along. This time, I've finally taken it back with my own hands. Soon after, the admissions call from Peking University came through. That same day, 2 unexpected visitors showed up at my home. An elegant middle-aged couple arrived in a black sedan with a Beijing A license plate. They introduced themselves as the Shens, my biological parents. My adoptive mother answered the door. She froze at the sight of the elegantly dressed couple at the doorstep, flanked by several black-suited bodyguards. "May I ask who you're looking for?" The middle-aged woman leading the group stepped forward, her eyes rimmed red and voice trembling. "Excuse me, is Juno home? Is Juno there? I'm her mother." The atmosphere in the living room grew heavy and still. Mrs. Shen, my biological mother, Sora, was clutching my hand tightly, her tears falling like broken strings of pearls. My biological father, George, chairman of the Shen group, sat nearby sighing incessantly, his eyes rimmed with red. They recounted an absurd story from 18 years ago about babies being switched at the hospital. In my previous life, Lunaire beat me to it by presenting a forged DNA test report to claim her lineage. She became the Shen family's sole heiress, while I went to my grave never knowing my true origins. In this life, without Lunaire's interference, they found me with ease. "My child, you've suffered so much all these years," Sora choked out through tears. "Come home with us, won't you? Mom and Dad will make it up to you." I turned my gaze toward my adoptive parents. They sat on the sofa across from me, visibly flustered and at a loss. Their faces a mix of shock, reluctance, and a hint of self-doubt. They were ordinary working-class folks who scrimped and saved their whole lives, yet gave me nothing but the best. In their past life, Lunaire's schemes drove their company into bankruptcy, leading them to leap from a building together. In this life, they're still alive and well. I slipped my hand out of Sora's grasp and walked over to my adoptive parents, taking a seat beside them. "Uncle, Aunt," I began, "thank you for raising me these past 18 years. You'll always be family to me." Then I turned to George and Sora. "I'm grateful you brought me into this world, but I can't go back with you just yet. I need to wait for my college acceptance letter and complete the enrollment process. Besides, my aunt and uncle have raised me all these years. I need time, and their blessing too." I maintained a poised and respectful demeanor, presenting my thoughts with clarity and structure. George and Sora exchanged a glance, their eyes reflecting deeper admiration and remorse. "All right, dear child, we'll follow your lead." George nodded repeatedly. "Take this card. It's a small token of our appreciation. The pin is your birthday," George said, handing over a black card. "I'm not in need of money right now." Chapter 4. I appreciate your kindness. After seeing the Shen couple off, my adoptive mother could no longer hold back her tears. She held me in her arms, crying like a child. "Juno, are you leaving us?" "Of course not," I reassured her softly, patting her back. I'll always be your daughter. My adoptive father sat nearby, quietly smoking with moist eyes. It's our fault for not being capable enough. We've made you suffer with us all these years. They're your biological parents, and they're wealthy. You'll have a brighter future if you go with them. Mom, Dad, I addressed them differently. You've never been a burden. I wouldn't be who I am today without you. Once I'm in college and graduate, I'll support you both. That night, the three of us talked for hours. I told them I'd topped the provincial exams and had already been accepted by Peking University. They were overjoyed, laughing through tears. The next day, news outlets reported my top scorer status, instantly making me a household name across the province. A flood of interview requests, prize money notifications, and endorsement offers came pouring in. I turned them all down. But someone just wouldn't let me enjoy my peace. Ryder's back. He showed up right at my doorstep. This time, he didn't come alone. Standing beside him was his mother, Mrs. Dahlia. I've met Lady Dahlia a few times, a well-preserved woman with an imperious gaze. She's always looked down on my family background. At this moment, she stared at our dilapidated apartment building with undisguised disdain. Does Juno live here? She asked Ryder. Mrs. Dahlia let out a disdainful snort. Exactly, how could anyone possibly live in a place like this? When she saw me, she immediately put on a fake smile. Oh my, if it isn't Juno, congratulations on being the top scorer in the province. I'm truly thrilled for you. I came today specifically to discuss your marriage to Ryder with your parents. Don't you worry, once you marry into our family, we'll make sure you're well taken care of. She spoke with such condescension, as if I'd won the lottery by marrying Ryder. I looked at her, then at Ryder standing beside her. Ryder kept his head down, not daring to meet my eyes. Madam Dahlia, I began, I think there might be some misunderstanding. First of all, Ryder and I have already broken up. There is no wedding to speak of. Second, even if I were blind, I wouldn't marry someone who repeatedly hurts me for another woman. Third, to be honest, your family isn't even up to my standards. Mrs. Dahlia's face instantly changed. What did you just say? You look down on our family. Do you have any idea what status our family holds in City A? How dare you, a girl from some shabby household, say such things? She was trembling with rage. Just then, several black Rolls-Royces pulled up slowly and parked in front of our dilapidated apartment building. The lead car door opened, and George and Sora stepped out. Behind them followed a group of lawyers and bodyguards. Sora walked straight to my side, linked her arm intimately with mine, then cast a cold glance at Mrs. Dahlia. Is there a problem with my daughter not thinking your family is good enough? Mrs. Dahlia stared at the sudden appearance of Mr. and Mrs. George, along with the luxury cars that clearly showcased their wealth and status, and was completely stunned. And Mr. Shen, Mrs. Shen, she stammered, the arrogance on her face instantly vanishing without a trace. Who in City A didn't know about the Shen group? It was an entity their family could only look up to in awe. What are you doing here? I remained silent. Sora let out a cold laugh and pulled me behind her, her movements brimming with protectiveness. Do we need to report to you why we're here? More importantly, Mrs. Dahlia, I believe I just heard you insulting my daughter. Mrs. Dahlia and Ryder exclaimed in unison. Their eyes darted between me and Sora, faces etched with utter disbelief. Impossible, Mrs. Dahlia cried out, her voice breaking. How could she be your daughter? Her family is just an ordinary working-class household, isn't it? That's because our daughter was maliciously switched at the hospital 18 years ago. George stepped forward, his voice steady and leaving no room for doubt. We only just found her recently, so tell me now, do you think my daughter is good enough for your family? Mrs. Dahlia's face flushed and then paled. She finally realized what a formidable opponent she had provoked. Ryder's reaction was even more intense than his mother's. He stared at me with an unblinking gaze, his entire body trembling. Juno, the daughter of the Shen family, that Juno, whom he had always looked down on and deemed unworthy of him, turned out to be the heiress of a top-tier wealthy family in City A, and he, for the sake of a deceitful and fragile Lunaire, had pushed her away with his own hands. An overwhelming sense of absurdity and remorse washed over him like a tidal wave. Juno. He took a step forward, reaching for my hand with a pleading tone in his voice. Juno, I didn't know. I truly had no idea. I stepped back, evading his touch. You have no idea how much you don't know. I looked at him, my eyes completely unreadable. Now, would you mind leaving? I don't want to see you again. My coldness cut Ryder to the quick. No, Juno, let me explain. It was Lunaire. Lunaire deceived me. She kept badmouthing you and driving a wedge between us. He was quick to pin all the blame on someone who had gone missing. Oh really? I retorted. Who was it that made me apologize to her for her sake back then? Who was it that called me in the middle of the night to confront me over her? Who was it that threatened to make me regret it because of her? Ryder, don't play the innocent. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You weren't deceived. You're just willfully blind and ignorant. Every word I spoke landed like a stinging slap across his face. Ryder's face went pale, his lips trembling without uttering a single word. Get out, George spat coldly. His bodyguard immediately stepped forward and made a, this way, gesture. Mrs. Dahlia dragged the dazed Ryder into the car and made a hasty, undignified retreat. The farce had finally come to an end. Juno, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Sora held me in her arms, her heart aching for me. From now on, as long as I'm here, no one will ever lay a finger on you. I leaned into her embrace, soaking in the warmth I had waited 18 years to feel, my eyes growing misty. The summer vacation flew by in the blink of an eye. I returned to the home in Beijing with the Shen family parents. It was a massive estate nestled on the mountainside, more luxurious than I had ever imagined. They threw a grand family recognition banquet in my honor, inviting all the prominent figures in Beijing. At the banquet, I became the absolute center of attention. George proudly introduced to everyone, this is my daughter, Juno, this year's provincial top scorer in the Gaokao. Wearing a haute couture gown, I glided effortlessly among the guests, my demeanor poised and graceful, without a hint of awkwardness. Everyone was full of praise for me. Midway through the banquet, George took a phone call and his expression turned peculiar. He pulled me aside. Juno, the Ryders are here. They said they came to apologize to you. Following his gaze, I spotted Ryder and his parents in the corner of the banquet hall. They wore expressions of humility and ingratiation, a complete departure from their former arrogance and domineering attitude. Let them in, I said. It's time to settle some scores. The Ryder family was brought before me. Mrs. Dahlia immediately grabbed my hand, forcing a smile that looked more pained than genuine. Juno, I was blind to your true worth earlier and said things I shouldn't have. Please don't take it to heart. Our Ryder has always held you in his heart. Ryder's eyes were also red-rimmed, his voice choked with emotion. Juno, I was wrong. I'm a complete jerk. I'm despicable. Please, give me another chance. Will you? He even considered kneeling down in public. Watching their family's clumsy performance made me sick to my stomach. An opportunity, I laughed. Didn't you want to know where Lunaire is? I can tell you. Ryder's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with ecstatic light. You know, Juno, do you really know where Lunaire is? He pressed urgently, completely unaware that he had instinctively used the intimate name Lunaire. Beside him, Lady Dahlia's expression shifted sharply, and she pinched him hard. Only then did Ryder realize his mistake and quickly corrected himself. I mean, where exactly has Lunaire? Where has she gone? Seeing him like this, the smile on my lips grew colder. Even at a time like this, his thoughts were still with Lunaire. Curious, I picked up a champagne flute, swirling it gently. First, answer one question for me. Wasn't your father's company on the verge of bankruptcy 6 months ago? Ryder froze. Ryder's family business did face a major crisis 6 months ago. A misguided overseas investment nearly broke their capital chain, but at the most critical moment, that very project took an unexpected turn. Not only did they avoid losses, but they ended up making a huge profit, bringing Ryder's family business back from the brink. This incident has always been what Ryder's father proudly calls his stroke of genius. Silence lingered on the other end of the line. How did you know? Ryder asked instinctively. I'm well aware. In fact, I know exactly what saved the Ryder family from ruin. And it wasn't some divine intervention, it was me. I drained the champagne glass in one swift gulp. What are you implying? Ryder's brow furrowed. To put it plainly, your Ryder family's so-called resurrection project was only saved from collapse because I tipped off the relevant state authorities through special channels, prompting government intervention, and I didn't do this to help you. I hung up the phone without hesitation. It's because that project involved investments from tens of thousands of ordinary families. The consequences of its collapse would have been catastrophic. Saving your Ryder family was merely a side effect. Ryder's face turned deathly pale. The family he took such pride in, the sense of superiority he lived for, had they only been preserved through the incidental charity of someone he looked down on the most. This was even more humiliating than a direct slap in the face. Now, do you still think there's anything about your Ryder family worth my climbing up to? I asked him, enunciating each word deliberately. Ryder's mouth fell open, but no words came out. As for Lunaire, I set down my glass, my tone turning flat. She has been taken into custody by the National Special Events Investigation Center for suspected theft and misuse of classified future strategic intelligence, compromising national security, right now. She's in a place you'll never find, paying for her crimes. Are you satisfied with this answer? Ryder staggered back 2 steps as if all strength had been drained from him. The National Special Incident Investigation Center, endangering national security. Each word hit him like a physical blow, leaving him dizzy and disoriented. He had always thought Lunaire was just a delicate girl with some special abilities and a knack for playing little mind games. It never crossed his mind that her actions had already crossed the nation's red line. No, it can't be, he muttered to himself. Lunaire is so kind-hearted, how could she? Kindness. I let out a bitter laugh, as if I'd just heard the most absurd joke. You call someone kind when they watch tens of thousands of families teeter on the brink of bankruptcy without batting an eye, solely focused on their own profit. You call someone kind when they know a catastrophe is coming. Yet they indulge in their own pleasures, turning a blind eye to the lives of millions of their fellow people. Ryder, your definition of kindness is pathetically cheap. I turned away, refusing to look at him any longer. Uncle Shen, I said to the butler beside me, see our guest out. From now on, no one from the Ryder family is permitted to set foot on the Shen estate. Yes, miss, the Ryder family was once again, politely, shown the door. Life at Kyoto University turned out to be even more fascinating than I'd imagined. I enrolled in my favorite dual-degree program in finance and computer science, soaking up knowledge like a sponge every day. The Shen family gave me the utmost freedom and support. I used the first monetary award I received from the state to establish a scholarship foundation in my adoptive parents' name, dedicated to supporting students from impoverished backgrounds who demonstrate both moral integrity and academic excellence. However, I set one firm rule: every recipient must sign a Code of Conduct pledge. If any misconduct or selfish behavior is discovered, funding will be terminated immediately and all disbursed funds must be repaid. During my sophomore year, Ryder came to see me again. He intercepted me right at the entrance of our university library. 2 years had passed, and he'd changed dramatically. Gone was the charismatic campus heartthrob. Now he wore faded casual clothes, his hair was unkempt, and his eyes held profound weariness and world-worn sorrow. Utterly ridiculous. After his father's disastrous investment failure, the Ryder family, though barely surviving with my incidental assistance, had been dealt a crippling blow, their former glory long gone. His eyes lit up when he saw me, but then dimmed almost instantly. Juno, he called my name, his voice raspy. I didn't stop, walking right past him. He grew frantic, stepping forward to block my path. Juno, I'm begging you, just say something to me, please. There's nothing left for us to discuss, I replied coldly. Yes, there is. He grabbed my arm with startling force. Juno, I know I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. There hasn't been a single day in these 2 years that I haven't regretted it. I regret being so blind, believing Lunaire's lies and pushing you away. He was crying his eyes out, looking utterly remorseful. The me from my past life might have softened at this, but now, I just find it all so grating. Ryder, I looked at him. You know what disgusts me most about you? It's not your poor judgment, but your sheer selfishness. Chapter 5. Back then, you thought I was just an ordinary person while Lunaire could offer you advantages, so you chose her without hesitation and cast me aside. Now that you've discovered I'm the Shen family heiress and Lunaire's in prison, you come crawling back to me saying you regret everything. You never loved a person, you only loved the status that could benefit you. Your love is nothing but a transaction, always ready to weigh pros and cons, always ready to be traded away, and I have absolutely no interest in being part of your business. My words cut through all his feigned affection and remorse, exposing the filthiest, most selfish core beneath. Ryder's face turned deathly pale in an instant. He stood frozen in place. As if struck by lightning, I shook off his hand and walked into the library without looking back. After that day, Ryder completely vanished from my world. I later heard that the Ryder family had completely fallen from grace. After graduating from college, he returned to a city and found an ordinary job. One night, while heading home from working late, he happened to see a Financial Channel interview with me playing on the convenience store TV at the street corner, on screen. I was speaking confidently as a rising investor, with the glittering nightscape of Jing's city behind me. Meanwhile, he was carrying discounted instant meals he'd bought for his wife, arguing incessantly with her over the phone about their child's tuition fees. It's said that later that night, he was seen drunk on the street, clinging to a lamppost and weeping uncontrollably while repeatedly calling out my name. I later picked up these bits and pieces from casual remarks others made. Our lives had long been on completely different levels. I graduated from Kyoto University with top honors and joined a leading domestic investment bank. Meanwhile, I maintained direct, exclusive contact with Kevin. I periodically transmit inspirations about future financial markets, gleaned from Lunaire, to him through encrypted channels. Leveraging this intelligence, the nation repeatedly thwarted malicious short selling by overseas capital on the international financial battlefield, safeguarding our financial security. Consequently, I was designated as External Consultant No. 1 at the 709 Research Institute. My life is demanding, fulfilling, and profoundly meaningful. I thought my entanglement with Lunaire would continue indefinitely in this, out-of-sight, yet ever-present, manner. That was until the day I received an urgent call from Kevin, Juno. His voice carried a gravity I'd never heard before. Subject 0 is compromised. When she first arrived, she was completely uncooperative and in a highly unstable mental state, attempting every form of self-harm and resistance imaginable. It took us a very long time to finally calm her down. Recently, she voluntarily applied to participate in future biotech's research. We thought she had finally accepted her fate, but then, using the equipment we provided, she synthesized a super virus unlike anything we'd ever seen. She injected the virus into her own body and left behind a single message. Kevin paused for a moment. She said she would make this world she could never have perish with her. The moment I heard the news, my mind went blank for a second. I never imagined that Lunaire, under such tight surveillance, could still pull off something like this. She's determined to drag the entire world down with her. How bad is it? I forced myself to stay calm. Catastrophic. Kevin's voice was weary. Initial analysis shows the virus is highly contagious with a near 100% mortality rate. There are no effective treatments available. She's turned herself into a walking biological weapon. The entire 709 Research Institute has been completely sealed off and designated as a maximum level quarantine zone. However, we don't know if there are any other potential avenues for the virus to have leaked. Does she have any requests? I asked. Yes. Kevin's voice dropped. She wants to see you. She said you have 24 hours. If you don't show up, she'll find a way to release the virus from the research facility. She said even if she dies, she's taking you down with her. Do I go, or not? Going means putting myself in extreme danger. No way. That lunatic Lunaire is perfectly capable of taking even more extreme actions. With nothing left to lose, she has nothing left to fear. Juno, you don't have to go, came my father George's voice through the phone. He clearly already knew about the situation. The country's experts will handle it. You can't take that risk. Absolutely not. His voice carried an undeniable command and deep concern. Dad, I said, my voice soft but resolute, I have to go. This started because of me, and it has to end with me. Besides, I'm the only one who might be able to calm her down. Juno, Dad, trust me. I cut in. I never take risks without being certain of the outcome. A day later, clad in the highest level of biohazard suit, I entered the isolation ward at Research Institute 709. Through the thick glass, I saw Lunaire. She lay on the hospital bed, tubes snaking across her body. Her complexion was ashen, lips parched and cracked, but her eyes held a terrifying brightness, glowing with pure, unadulterated hatred. When she saw me, she smiled. Juno, you're finally here. Her voice came through the microphone, hoarse and unpleasant. I thought you wouldn't dare to come. I'm here, I said calmly, looking at her. Go on, what exactly do you want? What do I want? She burst into laughter, trembling so violently that it tugged at her wounds, sending her into a fit of harsh coughing. I want you dead, she said, staring fixedly at me, enunciating each word with deliberate emphasis. Why? Why were you born with everything? Why do you effortlessly obtain the very things I've always dreamed of, with the advantage of rebirth? I planned each step carefully. So why did I still end up losing to you? So you want to destroy this world? I asked. Yes, she admitted without hesitation. If I can't have it, neither can you. I want you to watch. Watch everything you hold dear turn to dust because of me. I will make you live in eternal agony. I listened quietly as she finished her tirade, then, I picked up a document from the side and held it up for her to see. It was a DNA comparison report. On the other side of the glass, Linnaeus' pupils abruptly contracted as she clearly saw the names on the report. The report listed her name alongside my adoptive parents. The test results indicate a probability of paternity greater than 99%. No, it can't be, she murmured to herself. This is impossible, it's fake, you're lying to me. It's true, I calmly told her the fact. I wasn't the only one switched at birth. You, Lunaire, are the biological daughter of my adoptive parents, and that brother your parents gave away, the one who died young from illness. He was the Trushan family heir. The impoverished family you schemed so desperately to escape is your real destiny. The adoptive parents you tried to murder are your biological parents. What you stole was never rightfully mine. You're just a thief who took what belonged to others, foolishly thinking you could steal someone else's place. Lunaire froze in disbelief. Her face went deathly pale as she stared at the report, then at me. All her meticulous planning across 2 lifetimes had ultimately revealed itself as a colossal joke. The very thing she despised most, the legacy she desperately wanted to escape, was rooted in her own bloodline. She let out an inhuman shriek and ripped the monitoring devices from her body. Alarms blared throughout the room. I watched her vital signs rapidly vanish from the monitor. In her final moment of consciousness, her eyes remained fixed directly on me. There was no hatred in those eyes, only a desolate, boundless despair. 6 months later, the virus synthesized by Lunaire was successfully decoded by the nation's top-tier research team, who subsequently developed a vaccine, thanks to timely detection and effective intervention. A potential global catastrophe was averted before it could even begin. I stood atop the highest financial center tower in Jing City, gazing down at the endless river of traffic and glittering city lights below. On my phone was a message from Kevin. We've taken good care of Linnaire's parents. Your foundation has also helped many children in need. Thank you, Juno. I didn't respond. I simply gazed at this world I had protected through 2 lifetimes of blood and tears, smiling faintly. In this life, I not only avenged myself but also became a fairly decent, model citizen. Story 2. As the apocalypse descended with zombies overrunning the city, my best friend told me that my daughter had been bitten and her neck severed. In a panic, I rushed home, only to find my daughter convulsing and barely clinging to life on the floor. As I was overwhelmed with grief, my husband struck me from behind with a baseball bat, knocking me unconscious. He then cut my skin with a knife and sprayed perfume on me. As the zombies tore out my entrails, he and my best friend watched coldly from behind a metal door, holding each other and laughing. A financial burden and an unattractive wife, better dead and not waste resources. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before the zombie crisis began. I loosened the anti-theft locks at home, emptied the snack cabinet, transferred all the money from our accounts, and sprayed perfume with a rusty scent around the house. After ensuring my daughter was safe and stocking up on supplies, I turned on the surveillance to watch this tragic couple's love turn to betrayal. Did you book the private room for my mom's 60th birthday at Tianfu Hotel? It seems decent enough, just book there. I'll send you the order for the gift boxes on Instagram. Make sure there's a pack of Changhua cigarettes for each seat. And the alcohol has to be Maotai. Oh. And my work leaders and colleagues will be there too, so dress nicely and don't embarrass me. I won't be coming home tonight. Take good care of my mom and treat her to a nice meal. I'm hanging up now. After Jack hung up, I stood there, my body trembling but alive and well. No smell of decay, no disembowelment, no bloodshed. I checked my phone. May 2nd, 2024. I had been reborn 10 days before the zombie crisis. A new message popped up on Instagram from my husband. listing the gifts he wanted me to buy, including La Mer cream, an LV scarf, a gift box of scallops and abalone, and Italian liquor. In my past life, I felt inferior because my parents died early, and I lacked a high education while Jack had a stable job and a graduate degree. I thought I needed to cherish him, so I always gave in to him, but remembering what he did in the past life, anger surged up to my throat. That beast, he had an affair with my best friend and it cost my daughter her life. I still vividly remember finding Ariana lying in a pool of blood at our doorstep, convulsing wildly as she was about to turn into a zombie, her vision blurring as she repeated, "Mom, leave, Mom, leave." As I struggled to reach her, zombies tore at my body while my husband watched indifferently, his arms around my friend, his face full of contempt, thinking of his disgusting expression. I felt that even stabbing him now would be letting him off too easily. He needed to suffer 1,000 times more than me, or I would never be satisfied. A plan for revenge quickly formed in my mind. I sent a message, Tianfu Hotel, Luxury Suite 1201, the night of the 11th at 8 p.m. This time, I was going to make sure he fell from grace and died in despair. I couldn't hold back my tears. "Ariana, Mommy will pick you up soon. Can you wait for me patiently?" I was eager to see my daughter and was about to rush out the door when I bumped into Jack's parents returning from a major shopping spree. Jack's mom was holding shopping bags from upscale stores, and Jack's dad was wearing a brand new watch, both smiling radiantly. Their smiles vanished when they saw me heading out. "Where are you going in the middle of the day? Have you cooked the meal?" Seeing them pulled me back into a past life. My mother-in-law has never been satisfied with me. I transferred money to please her and let her shop at the mall, but she still treated me like a servant upon returning. In their eyes, I should be grateful to have married their son and owe them my undying loyalty, and here I was, running back in the scorching heat to cook for them. The more I thought about it, the more disgusted I became. I snatched the shopping bags from their hands, forcefully removed the watch from Jack's father's wrist, pushed past them, and stormed out. "If you look down on me, then don't use my money," Jack's mother screamed, pointing at me and shouting, "How dare you speak to us like that? People without parents really have no manners." Hearing this, rage surged through my head. I slapped her face so hard that a red mark instantly appeared. While they were still stunned, I turned and left. "The world is ending. Who still has the patience for you, acting like you're some kind of royalty?" While driving, Jack frantically called me. But I hung up every call. I used to care about keeping appearances for the sake of our relationship. His whole family lived off me, using my resources, and still had the nerve to be rude to me. They clearly didn't recognize who was in charge. After picking up my daughter, I took a deep breath holding her, and kissed her face several times, finally snapping out of my distraught state. I first settled my daughter in another one of my properties before heading to the office. I never went to college and started hustling early, luckily catching the wave of women's fashion e-commerce, becoming one of the first to start a Taobao women's clothing store. Later, I expanded my brand, made short videos, and did live stream selling, never dropping the ball even after having a child and gradually stepping back from the front line. To avoid panic, I announced that the company would undergo strategic adjustments and move to a new location. I instructed all employees to rest at home, work online, and issued double the usual year-end bonuses. I instructed finance to withdraw and convert as much money as possible into a new card. All told, I had nearly 100 million in cash. Seeing the substantial bank balance finally calmed me down. More important than revenge was to stockpile supplies and survive. I tore off a piece of paper and my brain kicked into high gear. From being a lone fighter to becoming a company boss. I might not claim much, but my ability to act swiftly is first-rate. After listing down important tasks and a shopping list, I immediately rushed to buy a high-end duplex apartment, securing 2 top-floor units accessible only by elevator. I also rented a small warehouse nearby and contacted a former client who dealt in supermarket distribution. I used the pretense of corporate charity donations, gave him a list, and asked him to deliver directly to the warehouse. The list included grains, oils, seasonings, fruits, vegetables, and frozen foods, boxes of bottled water, mineral water, canned cooked food, instant noodles, biscuits, and so on. Then, I opened the Tmall supermarket app on my phone and started a frenzied shopping spree. After the zombie outbreak, going out was impossible, so I bought many disposable items like bowls, cutlery, disposable underwear, sanitary pads, and more. Next, I ordered a freezer, a cassette stove, an induction cooker, disinfectants, protective gear, flashlights, walkie-talkies, and other safety equipment. I also stocked up on medicines for fever, colds, disinfection, including hemostatic drugs and bandages. Following the list I made, I started the first round of stocking up on essential supplies. Once everything was settled, I took a deep breath and made a phone call to someone. On the other end was a languid, slightly drunken male voice. "Wow, you actually remembered to call me. What's up? Is it the end of the world?" His words caught in my throat, thinking to myself that he had unwittingly hit the nail on the head. "I sent you a list on your phone. Start working on it immediately. It's urgent. I'll explain later." There was silence for a few seconds on the other end, then the playful tone was gone. "Got it." I breathed a sigh of relief, knowing Tom would take immediate action. This was a testament to the trust between us, having known each other for over a decade, and having fought through countless business battles together. A look or a tone was all it took to understand each other's stance. In this critical moment, he was the only one I could truly rely on. In this apocalypse, besides my daughter, he was the one I hoped would survive. After settling the major issues, I drove home. As soon as I arrived at the door, I heard the noise inside. "What kind of temper does she have? How dare she talk to your mom like that now? What will happen in the future? I told you to get a divorce quickly. She can't even bear a son. And isn't Sophia much prettier and sensible? What are you hesitating for?" "Oh, Mom, we signed a prenuptial agreement. I won't get much from a divorce. Plus, the house and car were hers before we married. Do you want me to live under a bridge after we divorce?" There was sudden silence inside. Then Jack's mother's voice rose again. "Why not make her transfer the house to your name?" "Huh, wishful thinking." I unlocked the door, pushed it open, still carrying the large and small packages she had bought earlier, and forced a smile. "Mom, I was wrong today. Something happened at work and I was in a bad mood." Jack's mother rolled her eyes and immediately grabbed the packages. "This way, there's a new real estate development by East Lake, close to our house. Choose a unit and I'll pay for it." The new development at East Lake, the villa area. Jack's mother's face lit up with joy, pulling my hand and saying, "We're all family. No need for formalities. Little squabbles are nothing." Jack looked skeptical. I immediately suggested we go look at the houses and place an order right then, which brought a smile to Jack's face, and the three of them got up to leave, their greedy smiles barely contained. No one cared about the daughter who hadn't come home from school. Once at the sales office, Jack's mother put on her reading glasses and kept asking the staff which was the most expensive unit, wanting to buy the priciest. After looking around, the family chose a unit with a large lawn. I looked too. The villa was very luxurious. The house is surrounded by floor-to-ceiling glass windows and boasts a spacious lawn in the yard. Due to its large size, it has 3 entrances and an underground garage that connects to the basement. The area is open without any cover, allowing a clear view inside through the glass windows. I am quite pleased with it. However, Jack's father is somewhat concerned. Being accustomed to living in the countryside, he worries that the house, which seems exposed on all sides, might not be safe. The salesperson at the real estate office, quick to address these concerns, immediately presents a brochure and begins to explain the robust security features of the villa community, including surveillance cameras and facial recognition technology networked together. The residents here are either wealthy or of high social standing, very high quality. If you were to drop $100 in the community, no one would even pick it up. Moreover, the people living here are the elite of City A, and residing here is a symbol of status and identity. With these words, the 3 initially hesitant buyers quickly decide on the purchase. I promptly make a down payment of $2 million without a second thought. Jack adopts a tender expression, constantly praising his wife as the best and most important. He sweet-talks me into putting the house under his parents' names. Does he think I'm unaware of his little schemes? If the house were in his name, it would be considered marital property, but if it's in his parents', it will ultimately end up in his hands anyway. I agree outwardly, considerate and gentle, but inwardly, I sneer. He never really sees me as family, always scheming against me, not only covertly taking my money but also frequently accusing me of not caring enough for the family. because of my own insecurities, I've been manipulated by him, falling into self-doubt and compliance with his wishes. How foolish I've been. On the ride home, I mentioned that Ariana won't be home for a few days due to a school trip organized by her kindergarten. Jack hums in acknowledgement, then turns to me with a loving look. Honey, isn't your friend Sophia in interior design? Why don't we let her handle the villa's decoration? She's one of our own and wouldn't cheat us. I suppress the nausea rising in my stomach. I recall a previous life where, over the phone, Sophia's anxious voice told me Ariana had been attacked by zombies, her neck bitten through. She had barely managed to drag her to safety, urging me to come quickly, but later, I clearly saw my daughter's face pale and marked with gruesome, bloody impressions. Those were not marks from a zombie attack. They were clearly the imprints of high heels. Ariana had been tortured by Sophia and thrown to the zombies, and Jack just watched. I've always known Jack didn't like girls, but to see his own daughter die before him and remain indifferent, he's a monster. The two of them, draining my blood, consuming my flesh, scheming until there's nothing left of me. A chill seeps into my bones, and I suddenly feel ice cold. Wife, Jack, noticing my prolonged silence, calls out to me in confusion. I have the urge to stab him right then and there, but reason urges me to stay calm. Now is not the time to act rashly. If I refuse now, a cunning person like Jack would surely notice something amiss. I clench my fists, biting my lip and forcing a casual tone. Sure, let's leave it to Sophia. The pain sharpens my senses. Emma, you really are blind. Just because you long for a home, a place to belong. You've given your all to Jack without any complaints, pouring your heart out, and what did you get in return? It's as if in your past life, you were destined to be left without a grave. I forced my tears back. The shame of betrayal and the painful memories made my mind clearer. I told them I had work matters to handle and that I wouldn't be returning home for a while. Jack's family got what they wanted, happily making video calls and updating their social media, oblivious to my whereabouts. Watching their excited faces, I scoffed. Ariana sensed my tension and unease today, holding tightly onto my hand without letting go, yet she wisely didn't ask the reason. Mom, if you and Dad are going to split up, I'm staying with you. I hugged my understanding daughter and nodded through my tears. In this life, I won't let anyone bully you, and I'll make those who did in the past pay. When Ariana and I arrived at the apartment, Tom was discussing renovations with the contractor. Time was of the essence. I sent Ariana upstairs to sleep and told Tom everything about the past life. Surprisingly, there was none of the skepticism or shock I had anticipated. Tom simply nodded, uttered a calm "oh," and went back to his work. The lengthy explanations I had prepared, including the vows I was ready to make to convince him, were unnecessary. At this point, I couldn't think much about it. With the apocalypse approaching, I had a lot of things to do and information to gather in the next 10 days. I spent nearly all of the following 5 days awake in the apartment. I put Tom in charge of the apartment renovations. All the windows were replaced with one-way bulletproof glass, and despite being on the 22nd floor, I had extra layers of security bars and spikes added to the windows. We chose the thickest curtains available because zombies are attracted to light. We dismantled the smart electronic doors and replaced them with the most traditional and sturdy security doors, adding an extra reinforced metal door outside. We connected the top 2 apartments to facilitate movement and cleared out unnecessary furniture to make room for supplies. Although I didn't know what the later stages of the apocalypse would bring, we prepared for possible water and power outages. We had to overhaul the apartment's power and water systems, install solar panels for electricity, and set up medium and small generators and battery storage for emergencies. We also installed rainwater collectors and purifiers to ensure we wouldn't run out of water. This included air purification and disinfection systems to protect against external viruses. We prepared emergency descent ropes on the 22nd floor and took measures against fire and mold. All money could handle. As for making excuses, I left that to Tom to arrange. We both were seasoned businesspeople, adept at managing tasks and people strictly. I took charge of purchasing supplies a second time. Unlike my initial haphazard buying, this time, I researched various survival resources and planned my purchases carefully. I chose food that could be stored long-term, such as cured meats, smoked fish, and canned goods. For perishables like live chickens, ducks, beef, and pork, I vacuum sealed and froze them. I also bought many seeds and started a plot to experiment with growing our own food. I have prepared clothes for both everyday and extremely cold weather, and I've got all kinds of sheets and blankets. I also bought disposable toilet seat covers, which can be thrown away after use. This includes the first batch of medical supplies that weren't fully stocked, such as anti-inflammatory and antibacterial medications, protective suits, gas masks, and more. I've also got machetes and air guns for protection, because you never know what might happen when it's the end of the world. It's best to be prepared. I've also acquired a DJI drone, a Huawei satellite phone, surveillance equipment, and protective electric fencing among other security systems. Additionally, I've stocked up on entertainment products to pass the time and bought numerous electronic devices to prevent damage. Loading them with variety shows, movies, and TV series. I've also gathered books and toys for Ariana's education, covering everything from kindergarten to middle school. With enough money, all of this was quickly assembled. After all, in the darkness of the end times, it's not the lack of food that's scary, but the numbness of people losing the will to live. Everything was first sent to a warehouse, and then I quietly arranged for it to be delivered in batches. I set up shelves to store the items, categorizing everything neatly. The neighbors occasionally bumped into me but thought I was just moving in and didn't pay much attention. After a few days, I couldn't keep it from my daughter anymore. Perhaps it was better to tell her in advance about the apocalypse to alleviate her fears. Surprisingly, Ariana, being young, showed no fear at all. She started acting like a little housekeeper, busily organizing the supplies I had purchased and thoroughly enjoying herself. Watching her small figure running around joyfully, she seemed to treat the looming apocalypse as just a game of house, and I couldn't help but shake my head indulgently. I have no intention of telling Ariana about my past life. Her being carefree is good enough. Looking around at my preparations, the apartment was as secure as a fortress, filled with supplies. And I finally felt a bit of relief from the warlike tension. Jokingly, I said to Tom, "Feels like we could live here for a lifetime." Tom turned to me and replied, "Living like this for a lifetime wouldn't be so bad." There was a glint of amusement in his eyes. Even though I knew he was making light of the situation, I instinctively avoided his gaze. I had a dreamless night and slept the most soundly since being reborn. The next day, as soon as I woke up, Jack called. He started by feigning concern, asking how I'd been eating and reminding me not to stay up late and ruin my health. Then he asked when I would be coming home. I frowned. If Jack didn't want something, he wouldn't bother with such niceties. Thinking back on how he had deceived me before, I felt disgusted and responded indifferently, "What is it? I'm busy at the office, and I won't be coming back in the next few days." Hearing this, Jack seemed relieved and his tone softened. "It's nothing much. Just about the payment for the renovation team. You know, Sophia's company is a big business, and they require payment in advance for the designers before work can commence." I scoffed coldly, knowing it was about money. "I've recently been restricted from making transfers. You'll have to cover it for now." After that, I hung up and turned on the home-installed cameras, originally set up to watch Ariana from home. I activated the cameras in the living room and her bedroom. Sure enough, there were 4 people sitting around the public phone in the living room, Sophia among them. Her face soon turned sour. Jack's mother was the first to speak. "What does she mean by restricted transfers? It's clear she just doesn't want to pay." A woman who's always out and about, showing her face, in the live stream. The person striking poses is hardly conducting legitimate business. She never comes home, definitely messing around outside. Jack's expression darkened. Sophia glanced over and cooed reassuringly on purpose, "Auntie, just think of her as an ATM. The more she earns, the more we can take, right? When the beloved grandchild is born, we'll be set for life." Jack's mother actually smiled, quickly getting up to cook. Jack took her hand and they went to his room. The two of them were so affectionate it almost spilled out of the screen. "Jack, you should ask for more money. What about our future children? You don't still have feelings for Emma, do you?" "A man needs to be ruthless." In the high-definition camera view, Jack responded to Sophia with a passionate French kiss, both of them passionately moving their heads as they nibbled on each other. "How can that old-fashioned woman compare to you? You know just how to take care of me, my little darling." I frowned, wanting to turn it off, but then hearing him mumble, "Don't worry, I have her videos. I'm going to the company to confront her now. She won't dare not give me the money." I stiffened all over. For a moment, my mind went blank. Even though I knew the man I had shared a bed with for many years was despicable, I hadn't expected him to be so devious. When did he secretly record those intimate videos without my knowledge? Was this a backup plan he had prepared earlier? Did he send them to anyone else? What exactly was he? My head clouded as someone helped me to stand up. Tom was already putting on his coat. Let's go, sure enough. Just as we arrived at the company entrance, I saw Jack and Jack's mother, both pale with anger, being stopped by security. Sophia, dressed in a chic ensemble, looked anxious. The company doors were shut, no one inside working. Seeing them, I feigned surprise. Jack's mother charged up. You whore. Did you transfer all the company's assets away? I knew you were messing around. Who is this man? Is he keeping you? You have no shame. She yelled as she tried to grab me. But Tom stepped in front of me. Security quickly intervened, recognizing Tom, and respectfully addressed him. Boss Tom, Boss Emma, you've arrived. I, perfectly made up and in high heels, walked up to them calmly. The company is expanding. We're restructuring the staff and address. Everyone is working online now. You can verify all these online. Why don't you check it yourselves? Boss Tom is our biggest partner. We've been busy with meetings recently, Tom timely added. We've been busy with shareholder meetings, acquiring some good garment factories, and many investors are interested in our business. Looks like next year the company might go public. Jack's mother clearly didn't understand all this, but seeing Jack nodding and smiling, she sensed it was something positive. I explained that due to recent numerous transactions, he would have to make payments first, and once the transfer freeze was lifted, I would immediately transfer the funds to him. Jack and his mother left first, but Sophia deliberately stayed behind. She leaned in to chat with me about how to purchase shares. Taking her hand, I whispered in her ear, initial shares start at 2 million, buying them is scoring big, and you could earn millions in dividends in just a year. Only insiders can purchase these initial shares. If you weren't my best friend, I wouldn't even tell you this. Watching Sophia's eyes spin, I knew, just as expected. When I returned home and checked the surveillance footage, Sophia began to whisper sweet nothings. Gradually, their whispers led them to the bed. Watching the two of them move incessantly on Ariana's pink sheets, I closed my eyes. A few minutes later, only the sound of heavy breathing remained in the room. Despite her conscience, Sophia was praising Jack for his prowess as she began to promote her scheme. It wasn't long before they agreed to mortgage their current house and all their belongings. They moved into a modest, unrenovated villa, planning to use Sophia's identity to purchase original shares. Within a few days, Sophia came to me, eager to buy 5 original shares in one go. I calculated in my mind that aside from Jack's money, Sophia must have also drained all her savings. I accepted the money and signed the contract in front of Sophia. She even had a lawyer witness it to ensure its authenticity. I jokingly said she really didn't trust me. Deep down, I knew clearly that when doomsday arrived, money would be the least useful thing, and the law would become irrelevant. After confirming everything multiple times, she left with a smile, saying we would meet again at the birthday feast that evening. I glanced at my watch, May 11th. Just one day left until the zombie virus outbreak. I hoped they would enjoy themselves, enjoy the grand gift I had meticulously prepared for them before the darkness set in. That evening at the Tianfu restaurant, the lights shone brilliantly, reflecting a scene of luxury and splendor. Even in my absence, the lavish birthday banquet for Jack's mother went on without a hitch. Dressed in a tight red cheongsam that bunched up around her stomach, Jack's mother laughed and trembled as she toasted with the guests all around. Jack's father, full of excitement, showed the local folks the sculptures and decorations nearby, boasting proudly. Jack, looking as if a great event was about to happen, was drunk and staggering, while Sophia, playing the role of the hostess, supported him. The dining table was laden with expensive gifts, including high-end skincare brands and luxury cigarettes and alcohol requested by Jack. The dishes were also upscale, with mountains of abalone and birds' nests, and a continuous supply of Matai liquor. Each table was served multiple portions of abalone, and some of Jack's rural guests even hid bottles of Matai in their clothes. Everything appeared harmonious and grand. Back at Jack's new villa where I had just finished my work, I watched the video Tom had sent me and clicked my tongue in amusement. But soon, Tom sent another video. In the middle of the banquet, The large screen suddenly started playing a video with ambiguous sounds coming from the speakers. The video showed a man and a woman in vigorous action, with their sweaty faces clearly visible as the footage was enlarged. I couldn't help but marvel at the quality of the surveillance equipment I had purchased. The banquet hall fell silent instantly, leaving only the high-quality surround sound system to fill the room. The man's provocative words and the woman's breathy responses echoed through the hall. "Jack, you're amazing, Sophia. Slow down, keep it down. When is your mom going back to the countryside? She won't live with us in the villa, right? It's suffocating. I can't even enjoy my time with you properly. Don't worry, once my mom's big birthday celebration is over, I'll send her back." The video looped these parts, leaving the attendees, even if their vision was unclear, in no doubt of what they were witnessing. It was clear to everyone who the two people were. Some individuals started laughing mischievously. Others began recording and taking photographs. Among the crowd were Jack's co-workers and leaders from his organization, all insiders who quickly left the scene with stern faces to avoid any association with the unfolding drama. The banquet had turned into a complete fiasco. Jack's mother was utterly humiliated and in a fit of anger, kicked Sophia and began slapping her fiercely on the face. "You shameless woman, always causing trouble at home. You've disgraced our family and even turned my son against me. What a venomous heart you have." Jack, his face pale with anger, pushed his mother away. Jack knew this incident would ruin the reputation he had carefully built and could potentially cost him his government job, but he couldn't abandon Sophia, especially since she was pregnant with his child. Sophia, clutching her stomach, turned pale. Jack's mother continued her tirade uncontrollably until Jack's father slapped her. Twisting her face to the side, the four of them were pulling at each other, looking disheveled and mad, completely losing all decorum. In the end, the server had no choice but to ask everyone to leave and began cleaning up the mess. As Jack's family was about to leave, they were stopped by the hotel manager. "Mr. Jack, your bill amounts to 2,835, 400 yuan. Let's round it down to 2,835, 000 yuan. Would you like to pay by card or scan a code?" The video ended with a sweep over the four ashen and furious faces, including Jack's, as hotel security began to gather around. As Tom was leaving, he kicked Jack one more time. Watching the person on the ground fall clumsily, I felt a sense of relief, and my actions hastened. I checked the results of my overnight efforts. The surveillance cameras, battery-operated and well hidden, covered every corner. The security door had been chopped up with a saw and its screws loosened. I had thoughtfully arranged various items in the villa, from clothes to food and facilities. Lastly, I took out a perfume named Bloody Mary, with its rusty scent, and sprayed it in every corner of the villa. Perfect. Pleased with my work, I clapped my hands, got into my car, and drove off. Tonight was the last peaceful night. I was almost eager to see their thrilling performance as tomorrow's apocalypse approached. It was a mild May day, neither cold nor hot. After one final check of my apartment's facilities, I started cooking hot pot, humming as I chopped ingredients. Ariana hadn't been to school in a long time and sat quietly reading on the sofa. Tom came over from next door with several dishes in hand. I was impressed. Sweet and sour ribs, crispy fried pork, and spicy stir-fried pork. All looked and smelled delicious. It seemed our taste buds were in for a treat in the days ahead. Just as we were about to start eating, Jack called. I curiously switched the phone to speaker. "Honey, please come back. I was wrong, I apologize, but it was your friend who seduced me. She's the promiscuous one. I was just confused. I still love you. Can you come back? After all, I am Ariana's father, and she needs a complete family. Don't worry, I will never bring Sophia's child home. Honey, could you first transfer 2 million yuan to me? How could you forget to pay for the birthday banquet? Haha." I should have known better than to take that call. Hearing this before dinner really turns my stomach. "Stop being so gross, Jack. I wish you were dead." Ariana chimed in too. "I don't want you as my dad anymore. I have a new dad now." I hung up the phone and immediately covered her mouth. Tom, on the other hand, didn't seem to care and joked. "Kids say the darndest things. Why are you so worked up?" I sheepishly lowered my hand, feeling a bit guilty, after blocking the numbers of Jack's family. I started to enjoy today's hot pot gathering. I used to always be busy working for others. juggling work and home with no time to relax and enjoy good food. Now, being forced to stop, I find my heart much more at peace and comfortable. After dinner, I put Ariana to bed. I blissfully turned on the projector, accessed the surveillance cameras of Jack's family villa, and started my drama watching. I didn't expect the scenes to be so thrilling. I was so engrossed that I forgot to eat my popcorn. In Jack's villa, 3 of the 4 people were gasping for breath on the floor. Jack's mother was making a scene on the ground. How can I show my face now? I can't go back to the village. People will laugh at my spine, saying my son messes around with women. Bring Emma back. She just wants to see me embarrassed. I'll kill her. Jack's father was collapsed on the floor, looking pained. 1,800,000, my life savings from farming, gone in one night. What a sin. You wretched woman, celebrating your 60th birthday as if your life depended on it, just to save face. You're ruining us. Sophia, holding her belly, cried pitifully. Jack, I followed you without any formal commitment. You owe me an explanation now. How am I supposed to face people after this? I can't swallow this pride. And Jack leaned against the door, smoking alone. Just find Emma. I'll make sure she spits out her teeth. I want her ruined. Enough screaming. Just go wash up and sleep. I have dirt on that woman. She won't dare disobey me. I'll find her tomorrow. They dispersed with defeated expressions, completely oblivious to the oddities in their home. The next day, I woke up late in the morning. Tom had made breakfast, and Ariana came running to tell me to watch the news, so I lazily went downstairs. We both stared intently at the TV, a news I had seen in a past life. A car flipped and caught fire on the highway. A blood-covered person crawled out, limbs twisted strangely. Head turned 180 degrees, biting the rescuer. Then, the camera moved to subway surveillance. A passenger fell unconscious and upon waking, started biting people. Experts claimed it might be a type of rabies virus, telling people not to worry. I told Tom, that's the initial stage of a zombie outbreak. No one knew how it started, nor did anyone care about the short news segment, but as the morning passed, social media and video platforms were flooded with mentions of the zombie virus. The internet was overwhelmed. The zombie apocalypse began to spread explosively. Some stores started looting and rioting, streets filled with screams soon overtaken by gruesome hordes of zombies. In such times, money becomes even more precious. Before the apocalypse spread, while everyone harbored a hope of luck, many foresight wealthy people exchanged hundreds of thousands for supplies. Hiring people to steal goods also accumulated quite a stash for them. When Jack realized that not only his money, but also Lin Jing's and both his parents' funds had been siphoned off by me, he found that between the 4 of them, they couldn't scrape together even 10,000 yuan. In a post-apocalyptic world, that amount was just a drop in the bucket. I sent Ariana upstairs to watch cartoons and then turned on the surveillance feed. Tom leaned in, insisting on watching with me. I've had it with Jack's family for a while now. Stop dawdling. Let's get on with it. It's finally time for the Empress to return to the palace after surviving the ordeal. I raised an eyebrow. Well, he sure knew his stuff. On the surveillance, it seemed the villa area was still in decent shape. The first floor of the villa had large transparent windows, and we could see a solitary zombie pounding on the wall outside, unable to get in. Sophia and Jack were barricading the door with tables and chairs and had also locked the basement door. Busying themselves for quite a while, you could clearly see the sweat on their faces from the surveillance. The image quality is pretty good, at least 720p, befitting a distinguished member like me, Tom commented. Jack, increasingly agitated, furiously scrolled through his phone, then started making calls for help, but with nothing to offer as leverage, he ended up smashing his phone in frustration. Jack's parents rummaged through the house for food and other necessities. Since they hadn't been living in the villa for long, the supplies weren't extensive. However, Jack loved snacks, and his mother had ordered a large box of them online, filling up the snack cabinet. Good thing we have this cabinet full of snacks. It should last us a few weeks. Jack had initially planned to venture out and scavenge for more supplies while the villa area was still relatively safe, but after seeing the full snack cabinet, he decided against going out. Tom turned to me, puzzled. Did you put laxatives in their food? I just shook my head, smiling without a word. I took a screenshot of the snack cabinet from the surveillance and posted it in the residence group that Jack's family hadn't joined. My house is at Building B, Unit 2-1, currently unoccupied. I've bought a lot of snacks and drinks previously. If any neighbors need them, feel free to take some. The code for the electronic lock is 456353. The surveillance showed a group of people confidently heading towards the villa. Meanwhile, Jack's family was huddled on the third floor, engrossed in watching TV and their phones, completely unaware that their door had been opened. It was only when the footsteps grew louder that Jack's father sensed something was amiss and looked downstairs. Thieves. When the two groups encountered each other, a bit of food became a lifesaver, and no one cared about laws or morals anymore. The homeowner said we could take it. How dare you squatters hoard all the food? We are the homeowners. Give us back our stuff. Sophia argued defiantly. Jack's mother didn't care about the details. She and Jack, armed with knives, charged out and slashed several people, fiercely defending their supplies. You bandits, wait till I get back and I'll make you pay. Jack quickly changed the electronic door's password, hurling insults at my entire family. Unperturbed, I posted another message in the neighborhood group. Forgot to mention, my door's not very sturdy. A gentle knock could break it down. If the electronic lock runs out of battery, feel free to pry it open. I won't hold you responsible. As night fell, Jack's family hurriedly hid their snacks. They had all taken refuge on the third floor, but soon, they discovered that the water was cut off. They assumed that the zombies had damaged the water gate, but in fact, it was me who had instructed the property manager to shut it off yesterday. Since I hadn't been back for a long time, I asked him to close my water valve. One might survive without food, but what about without water? Tonight's dinner was steak paired with red wine. I steamed Ariana's favorite custard buns, cooked some milk and steamed dumplings, but Tom didn't come over. He texted me saying he hadn't moved much recently and just had some self-heating hot pot casually. He also reminded me to turn off the main lights and high-power appliances, only keeping a small light on to avoid making noise. The high-rise I chose is only accessible by elevator, and as long as residents don't go out, it's relatively safe. But we still need to be extremely cautious, after all. The most terrifying thing at the end of the world isn't the zombies, but the malicious people. For instance, the doors to the front and backyards of Jack's large villa had been pried open. I had already damaged those doors, and now a few people could easily pull them open and throw them far away. Nighttime is when zombies are least active, and clearly, these people were having an easy time, compared to the daytime's overt activities. At night they were more cautious, using flashlights and treading lightly, but that didn't mean they were soft-hearted. In the apocalypse, grabbing any useful supplies was a win. In the darkness, someone whispered, "Isn't this wrong? Shouldn't we leave some for them?" Yeah, more than ever, we need to stick together. Aren't we indirectly killing people by doing this? A tall guy quickly retorted, "You weren't chopped today, were you? I'm still bleeding from my arm." He was trying to kill. It's survival time now. If you want to be the good guy, go back home and let the Leshan giant Buddha sit down for you. Soon, they quieted down, but their hands moved faster. Everyone knew that the first day wasn't the worst. Who knew if there would be a chance to go out later? They plundered vigorously. Through the night vision surveillance, I saw them ransack the snacks and the fridge, and then start searching everywhere. Some took blankets from the sofa, others took vases still filled with water. Some packed up kitchenware and dinner knives. They grabbed everything they could from the tables. Over the course of the night, they made several trips back and forth. Eventually, they even sneaked into Jack's family's bedrooms, quietly taking blankets, charging cables from the bedside tables, and even the condoms from the drawers. When life is threatened, people can do anything. I watched this silent drama unfold with great interest all night. Only when Jack's villa was completely emptied, the doors wide open and the wind howling through, did I feel a secret thrill. Unable to hold back my sleepiness any longer, I drank a glass of milk and peacefully went to sleep. The next day, as soon as the alarm rang, I got up. I found that Jack's family was still deep in sleep, probably exhausted from the previous day. I opened a packet of Chongqing noodle seasoning, cooked a bowl of noodles, and made a pot of pear and white fungus sweet soup. As I had been feeling a bit overheated from eating lately, Tom came over for a meal, and after eating, we started researching how to accelerate seed germination, burying our heads in the 3,000 Questions on Agricultural Planting book I bought. when suddenly a scream came from the monitor. I quickly put down what I was doing and rushed over. Sophia saw the ransacked villa. Her face turned pale, and she staggered backwards, because the doors had been pried open and I had sprayed perfume. Several zombies had already entered the first floor. Attracted by Sophia's scream, Jack's father reacted swiftly, pulling Sophia upstairs, but his arm was grabbed, tearing his sleeve and scratching his arm in the process. Jack's mother quickly assisted Sophia, helping her up to the third floor. After all, despite her feelings towards Sophia, she was carrying the future grandson of Jack's family. Both women, trembling, climbed to the top floor using their hands and feet. But before they could catch their breath, a painful roar came from below. "You dare!" Ah! A minute later, Jack appeared, silently carrying a knife, but there was no sign of Jack's father. The two women, terrified, collapsed on the floor. Jack's mother was no longer screaming, her expression numb and vacant. I covered my mouth, feeling goosebumps all over my body. Through the surveillance, I clearly saw, in a flash, Jack's knife brutally descending towards his father's head. With another forceful blow, Jack's father fell to the ground floor, his head gruesomely shattered, blood everywhere. The zombies were drawn away by the scent of blood, making the upper floors temporarily safe. Jack's cold-blooded and cruel demeanor pulled me back to a past life. I covered my mouth, nearly vomiting. At that moment, Tom gently wrapped his arms around my shoulders and turned off the camera. "It's all over, don't be afraid. You are brave, and he can no longer find you. Stop watching, go rest, I'll keep watch." Suddenly, I developed a fever and fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, I was holding my daughter, being furiously chased by zombies. Running, I ended up in a dead end. The zombies got closer, and upon a closer look, Jack's face emerged on the zombies. Just as I was about to be bitten, the scent of food wafted into my nose. The face before me suddenly turned into a meat bun. The blood in my eyes became flowers, and I was bathed in a warm ray of sunlight. When I woke up, it was already noon the next day. Ariana, with tears on her face, held a cup of fever medicine, her little face full of worry, and Tom, with dark circles under his eyes, holding a plate of meat buns. "Thought you turned into a zombie. I was about to throw you out if you didn't wake up." He reached out anxiously to check my forehead temperature, but I grabbed his hand instead. I said nothing. After all, in this apocalyptic world overrun with zombies, no one can be sure of the future, let alone express their feelings freely like in normal life. But in that moment of eye contact, it felt as though everything was said. In the darkness, that little bit of light was a fortunate misfortune. I didn't want to let go. For some reason, since that dream, I found myself caring less about the movements of Jack's family. I hadn't turned on the camera for several days. On the fifth day of the zombie outbreak, not a single living person could be seen on the streets. Our building had lost water and electricity. I looked through the single-pane glass window, and below was a dense crowd of the undead. Someone had leaked information claiming that new residents had moved into the 22nd floor, that the door had been fortified with double layers, surely in anticipation and stocked with plenty of supplies. Over the past few days, the door had been knocked on frequently. But I wore headphones and did not respond. As more people gathered, the sounds of knocking and electric saws began to rise. After I warned everyone in the homeowners group and was ignored, I turned on the power switch. After a scream at the door, all returned to silence. The small generator was still supplying power to the grid without any issues. Maybe they were frightened by the electricity, or perhaps they found the reinforced door too sturdy to breach, and gradually, no one attempted to approach anymore. By the sixth day, out of sheer boredom, I turned on the surveillance system again. To my surprise, Jack's house was completely empty. I searched for a while and finally spotted Jack in one of the many camera feeds. He was curled up in the attic storage room on the fourth floor, staring dully with a large pot in front of him. Where did he find food? Out of curiosity, I started to rewind the surveillance recordings. On the second day, Jack's father was tragically killed. On the third day, the three of them were starving but barely holding on. On the fourth day, after 4 days of hunger, Jack couldn't stand it anymore and crept downstairs in the dark. On the fifth day, my eyes widened in horror. That morning, Jack's mother pulled Jack into a corner and whispered to him. I turned up the volume, and Jack's mother's voice was eerily calm. "This can't go on. Lin Jing surely won't be able to give birth, and if she does, the baby will die. Plus she's the reason your father died. It wasn't for her. How would Jack's father have died? Maybe while you can survive without food, but not without water. I've heard that young women's blood has the highest water content. I saw a moment of hesitation cross Jack's gaunt face. Quickly, his survival instinct overtook his reason. And he stretched out a kitchen knife towards Lin Jing, who was asleep, but what happened next was utterly unexpected. Lin Jing wasn't asleep, she had heard everything. In the moment Jack hesitated, she lunged forward, grabbed the knife, and struck at Jack's mother. Jack's mother screamed horribly but did not back down, clawing at Lin Jing's eyes. The two women fought bitterly, each fueled by hatred and resentment. Jack watched in horror, as if frozen in place. Both women died before his very eyes. A sense of vengeful satisfaction briefly surged through me, quickly smothered by sadness. These two women, filled with hatred towards each other, had destroyed themselves over a man, and yet the one who survived was the deepest in sin. Is this why good people die young and misfortunes last for ages? I sighed and turned off the surveillance. Half a month passed, and the potatoes I had planted were beginning to sprout. I began to plan Ariana's studies methodically and incorporated physical exercise into our daily routine. Thankfully, Tom had thoughtfully equipped us with a treadmill and a rowing machine. The weather was gradually warming up, and the air outside seemed to be getting murkier. We were careful with our drinking water and hadn't used much, but to prepare for the future, I started the rainwater collector to gather water resources. I also opened the hard drive and pulled out the electrical repair principles and other course materials I had stored to start learning. Life went on methodically, eating well, sleeping regularly, and with daily exercise. We seemed to be more spirited. On an uneventful evening, as I was exploring a new recipe, Tom gently embraced me from behind. Jack is dead. He had eaten his fill, but couldn't bear the thirst anymore. He wanted to run to the fountain in the residential area's flower bed to drink water, possibly because the smell of blood on him was too strong. Before reaching the ground floor, he was attacked by zombies. He was torn into several pieces and died instantly. Without turning into a zombie, I was stunned for a moment, then let out a long sigh of relief, expelling all the murky feelings from within me. My revenge was successful. From now on, our goal, not just mine, is to survive. December 31st, 2024. Half a year after the apocalypse began, when stocking up, I only thought about survival. As days passed, I realized how much we depended on small tools in our previous detailed lives. For example, without signal and internet on my phone, I could only keep track of dates using a watch and paper money, like a peeler, to conserve food. Now I cook most food with the skin on. The situation outside has stabilized a lot, with zombies losing their vitality as they run out of food. Through the telescope, I noticed that some people had survived and even formed civilian support armies. However, I never revealed my location. Having seen the true nature of people in desperate times, it's better to be cautious. We've only used a small portion of our supplies. The water storage system is functioning, but we only use the sterilized water for washing clothes and everyday needs. The power system is operational, but to ensure long-term use, the three of us live in half of my apartment. Using only the essential high-power appliances, the three of us are barely maintaining our mental health. Tom, once a carefree wealthy young man, has started to enjoy gardening and cooking. He used to handle multi-million-dollar projects in his office, always serious in meetings and meticulous about proposals. Now, he spends his days pondering over potatoes, coming up with Michelin star-level new recipes every day. Mainly because Tom is tall and burly, seeing him in a Hello Kitty apron. With hair I cut neatly, he increasingly looks like a domestic husband. I bought the apron in a random pattern. I can only cut hair in the simplest style, but surprisingly, Tom's mood has been more stable than mine, and he's really good at comforting children, teaching kids homework, a perennial challenge that nearly breaks me, but Tom always has endless patience, with examples and stories. He has 1,000 ways to make the textbooks come alive, gradually. Ariana spends more time clinging to him than to me, cooking, gardening, schooling, even playing games. Ariana always wants to be with Tom. I definitely feel less favored. One day, Tom, drunk, said, "If you ever leave me, can I still be Ariana's dad?" Then late at night, he changed, fiercely biting my neck. "Don't you dare leave me." I then realized he had a lot of hidden motives when stocking up. Over time, Tom confessed that through our increasingly coordinated efforts, he realized his feelings had grown beyond mere appreciation. He had fallen in love, but since I already had a family, he chose to watch from a distance. "Actually, when you were explaining about the zombies, I wasn't really listening. All I heard was that we were going to live together, so, apocalypse or not, how could I miss such a great opportunity? After all, the deals between us have never been at a loss." He warmed his hands by a small heater, holding my hand. His reasoning bold, though perhaps not entirely logical, perhaps because the city was empty, the winter was colder than ever, the thermometer on the wall showed -5 degrees Celsius. We had plenty of coats and quilts, but the only heating equipment was an electric blanket and the small heater. Naturally, the electric blanket was for Ariana. Throughout the long winter, Tom and I held hands tightly and shared thoughts we might never have told anyone else in our lives. There was a moment when I selfishly thought that continuing like this wouldn't be so bad. "I'll send you the order for the wedding gift boxes on Instagram later. We need a pack of cigarettes for each seat, and the liquor has to be Moutai." The once bustling city of Shinma now lies silent as a morgue, its skyscrapers overgrown with moss, the view from our windows filthy beyond recognition. I had just opened a can of food and was about to eat when suddenly I heard the roar of helicopters outside, and the voice of a woman on the broadcast, excited and tearful. She announced that the zombie virus was weakening, the nation had gained control of the situation, and residential bases had been established. She urged all survivors not to lose hope. Then the national anthem played, hoping to inspire the survivors. My heart leapt with joy, and I excitedly drew back the curtains that had been closed for so long. Sunlight streamed in, casting a beautiful rainbow pattern outside on the streets. A few tanks adorned with camouflage patterns and national flags were clearing out the remaining zombies. The three of us held each other tightly, overwhelmed with emotions. The apocalypse was over, we had survived, a new world was beckoning us. Story 2. I'm a female celebrity shunned by the entire internet, participating in a wilderness survival live stream, when suddenly zombies appear on the island. The apocalypse has arrived, and no one cares about the camera anymore. A popular young actress sacrifices others to save herself, while a famous actor turns on others to kill. Unknown to everyone, the live broadcast hasn't stopped. The apocalypse is only on this small island. Summer, this is your last chance. You must seize it. My agent, Sister Yang, tossed a contract at me, pointing at another name on it. "See, Esme is also participating. Let's show everyone who the real martial arts actress is." I stared at the familiar name and sighed. Esme was my junior at the same martial arts school. Right after graduation, I smoothly entered the entertainment industry, debuting as a martial arts actress. The company widely announced that I didn't need a stunt double, and I performed all the dangerous action scenes myself. At first, everything went well, my action scenes were impressive, and my looks were refreshing, earning me a good reputation among the audience. That was until I injured my back and couldn't perform certain moves. To avoid delaying the filming schedule, the director asked me to find a stunt double, and I recommended Esme. Esme and I had similar builds. Although she was the least academic performer at our school, she could handle several fighting moves without a problem. The filming went smoothly, and the director was pleased with Esme. Unexpectedly, the next day, photos of Esme acting as my stunt double made the headlines. The media swarmed to interview Esme, asking if she had been my stunt double for all my previous action scenes. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at the camera, biting her lip. "Please, stop asking. Summer is my senior. I did what I had to do. It's all my fault. I didn't know anything. Please stop asking." The public was shocked, and my management agency quickly issued a statement clarifying that Esme only substituted for a few moves because I was injured, even cueing the director to help clarify. Unexpectedly, Director Everett sided with Esme. He was a famous director in the industry, and now it was our turn to be stunned. From then on, my reputation plummeted, and under Director Everett's patronage, Esme quickly took over my spot and even climbed higher, becoming a sought-after top actress in the industry. As for me, I could barely find any roles and was almost on the verge of leaving the industry. This show was something my agent fought hard to get for me. The program was recorded on a small island overseas and broadcasted live with numerous drones for filming. Before going on stage, I took out my phone and glanced at the live stream comments. Summer has some nerve showing up in front of the real deal. She's shameless. That's how she deceived us for so long, making me recognize our Esme a year late. I'm waving the flag for Esme, and the film Emperor Easton is also here. Keep the camera on them, Summer. Get out of the entertainment industry. Just seeing her face disgusts me. Such a liar. Forget it. I can't bear to look at all these haters. I feel like even if I jumped into the sea and killed a shark with my bare hands, I couldn't win them back. There were 6 celebrities participating in the live stream, including me and Esme, and a girl group member named Elise. The men were the film Emperor Easton, popular actor Emerson, and another struggling actor like me, Donovan. Everyone else was indifferent to me, except for Donovan, who came over with a grin and shook my hand. Summer, lucky you're here. I get scolded the most, so it keeps you from standing out too much. Thanks for that. I was speechless. You're welcome. Donovan and I are not the same. I'm like a good man whose house has collapsed, while he has no house to collapse. It was a ruin from the start, throwing tantrums, bashing the paparazzi, stealing scenes from the star actor Easton, meddling in other people's romances. Donovan manages to survive in the entertainment industry only because he has an irreplaceable face. Everyone, come and get your stuff. The assistant director was ahead, shouting through the megaphone. This time, the wilderness survival was aiming for realism, so everyone was issued weapons and tools like knives and shovels. The star actor Easton was in front of me. Seeing me picking up my tools, he smiled. Summer, do you know how to use a knife? Elise burst out laughing and chimed in. Sister Summer, this is live. There are no stunt doubles to help you out. You'll have to catch fish and birds on your own, or maybe Esme can help you. The live comments were buzzing. Elise, the internet's mouthpiece, isn't this kind of live broadcast likely to expose everything? How dare Summer take on this? Looking forward to what happens next. Unless she's paid off the crew, this broadcast is going to shatter her persona as an action star. I ignored them, picked up my tools, and went to cut some branches, sharpening one end to prepare for spearfishing later. I was focused on my task when suddenly there was chaos from the production team. Are you crazy? Biting someone? Quick, pull him off. Call the medic right now. The crowd was in disarray, and as I stood up to look, I saw 2 staff members fighting for some reason. One older man had pinned a younger man to the ground and bitten his neck, blood flowing, a ghastly sight. The young man lay on the ground rolling his eyes and convulsing. I frowned and was about to step forward when suddenly, the unexpected happened. The young man suddenly sat up, grabbed the person next to him by the neck, and bit down. The older man, initially held back by 2 people, suddenly exerted strength, flinging one aside and biting the other. The scene erupted into chaos, everyone screaming and scattering, holding the spear. I stood frozen, unsure what to do. Was this rabies? Easton and Esme, not far away, were chopping a branch together and came over to me, bewildered. What happened here? Why did they suddenly start fighting? Viewers in front of the screen were also confused. Is this some hidden plot? Testing the star's ability to adapt. It doesn't seem fake. I saw the blood spurting from that young man's neck. What on earth is this program doing, with staff fighting like that? Shouldn't they call the police? The 3 of us stood under a tree, and the initial young man looked around quickly, then suddenly charged at us at high speed. He was about 3 or 4 meters away from me when I finally saw him clearly, and my pupils dilated in shock. Half of his neck had been bitten off, his white trachea hanging out, mixed with blood exposed to the air. With such a wound, it was impossible for him to still be alive. The young man's face was ferocious, his mouth wide open as he lunged at me, blood dripping from his mouth and thin strips of flesh stuck between his teeth. I was disgusted and was about to dodge to the side when suddenly someone pushed me hard from behind. As I was about to be bitten, I gripped the spear in my hand tightly. I blocked the way forward horizontally. The young man bit onto the wooden pole, glaring at me angrily with a beast-like roar. Some people nearby heard and ran towards us. One of them, whose half-body was almost bitten off, still managed to run forward stiffly with great speed on all fours. Esme hid behind Easton, screaming continuously, stirring up a lively discussion among the viewers. Wow, the production crew is awesome. These special effects are too thrilling. Are they playing zombies? From wilderness survival to apocalypse survival. Who came up with this brilliant script? Amazing. Did anyone else see Esme push Summer just now? It was Summer who tripped herself, right? Who's this hater trying to blame Esme? Exactly. Just wait for the replay video tomorrow, and if anyone dares to slander Esme, we'll track them down. Sorry, I might have seen it wrong. Apocalyptic novels and movies have been popular these past few years, and I quickly realized that these people might have turned into the legendary zombies. However, unlike in the movies, these zombies were fast and agile. As 4 or 5 zombies gathered, I didn't dare to stay. I gripped my harpoon and turned to run. Summer, wait for me, Esme cried while chasing behind me. The island wasn't small, with a beach surrounding it and a mountain about 300 to 400 meters high at the center. The vegetation on the mountain was dense, and the production crew had built a wooden cabin there. The team that performed best in the daily tasks could spend the night in the cabin. This cabin had now become our only shelter. I ran breathlessly, then suddenly heard a scream behind me. Summer, save me. I turned around to see that most of the zombies chasing us had been left behind, except for that first young man who was now following Esme. She was falling behind as her stamina waned, and the zombie reached out and grabbed her hair. As the zombie was about to bite Esme's neck, Easton only stood by yelling for Esme to run faster. I hurriedly tightened my grip on the harpoon, took a running start, and threw it like a javelin straight into the zombie's head. Blood splattered all over Esme's face, leaving her pale and dumbfounded for a moment before she fell to the ground, crying. Easton quickly crouched down to embrace her. Esme, are you all right? Then, he turned and glared at me furiously. Summer, are you out of your mind? Do you realize how dangerous that was? If that harpoon had been slightly off, you could have killed Esme. Me, viewer comments, yeah, Summer was too reckless. Doesn't she know her own strength? She almost killed our Esme. Are you starstruck to the point of stupidity? If it weren't for Summer, Esme would be dead. You know, Easton seems to have some serious issues. You're the one with issues. The zombies are fake. But Summer's reckless javelin throw was real. Otherwise, why would Easton be so angry? Yeah. Summer will do anything for fame. I walked over, pulled the harpoon from the zombie's head, and asked Esme coldly, do you also think I'm meddling too much? Esme just cried, her words unclear. Sorry, Sister Summer, don't blame Brother Easton, he's just looking out for me. I rolled my eyes. Fine, I'm not dealing with this kind of situation anymore if it happens again. Everyone had similar thoughts, and after calming down from the initial chaos, they all ran towards the cabin. We had walked a short distance when we encountered Elise and Donovan. Upon seeing us, Elise's eyes lit up. Esme, thank goodness you're here. I'm not scared with you around. You have no idea. I was almost frightened to death just now. Elise clung to Esme's arm and talked non-stop. These zombies are terrifying. Their speed and strength are almost like that of grown men. I was almost scratched just now. Will you protect us later? I've seen all your interviews. Your martial arts school teachers say you're the most talented student, and your classmates say you can fight 5 at a time. You're really amazing. Comments on the stream, is Esme really that incredible? But she was just screaming for help when chased by zombies. Being good at martial arts and being courageous are two different things. It's normal for anyone to not react immediately in such situations. She just wasn't used to it. Yeah, it's normal for girls to be more timid, not just Esme. Easton was also pretty scared just now. Esme forced a smile and awkwardly changed the topic, discussing with Elise when others might come to rescue us on the island. After she finished speaking, both Elise and Donovan fell silent. Elise pursed her lips, took a while to suppress her emotions, and then said with a trembling voice, "No one is coming to rescue us. This island is an uninhabited one in the Pacific Ocean with no mobile signal." The show crew communicated with the outside world using satellite phones. The drones used for the live broadcast were military equipment, transmitting signals through radio waves like the satellite phones. The crew had 2 satellite phones placed on a long table next to the beach. During the incident, the table was overturned. One phone fell into the sea, and Donovan had grabbed the other. Donovan raised the satellite phone in his hand for us to see. I fell while dodging zombies and the phone smashed on the rocks. Esme and Easton's expressions changed. I looked up at the clear blue sky above and pointed towards the circling drone. The live broadcast hasn't stopped. People watching it will come to rescue us, right? Yeah, others are still watching our live broadcast. They definitely know something's happened on the island. They'll come to rescue us. Donovan continued shaking his head. Not necessarily. The first one who got bitten has been feverish for 3 days. If the zombie virus has an incubation period, then he was infected before he came to the island, and now who knows if the outside world has completely fallen. Even if there are still many survivors, everything outside must be in chaos. Who would have time to care about us? Seeing Esme turn pale, Elise hugged her arm and shook it twice to comfort her. Esme, think positively. If it's really the apocalypse outside, we are actually safest here on the island. As long as we deal with the zombies on the island, we can settle down here safely. However, Esme frowned, pulled her arm away, and pushed Elise abruptly. Do you think it's that easy? There are so many zombies. Why don't you deal with them? Elise was stunned. Her eyes quickly filled with tears. Esme, how can you say that? Enough, let's all talk less. Easton looked up thoughtfully at the drone. We're not far from Bonnie Island. The show's backup team is there. If they are safe, they will definitely send someone to rescue us. Easton cupped his hands around his mouth like a megaphone and shouted towards the direction of the drone. Did you hear that? Come and rescue us, everyone. Just wait patiently. They will surely arrive by tomorrow at the latest. Right now, the most important thing is to find the cabin and safely get through the night. Esme then realized. If this apocalypse was only on the small island, the show would still be ongoing, and all these scenes would be visible to people outside. She quickly mustered a smile and grasped Elise's hand to apologize. Sorry, Elise, I lost my temper just now. I almost got bitten by a zombie earlier. I was too tense. It's okay, Esme. Easton shot me a glance. It was more than just that. You nearly got skewered by Summer's pitchfork. I glared back and greeted him warmly. Idiot, unexpectedly. The production team had never planned to rescue us. The director general, seeing the trending searches and the high viewership on various platforms, beamed with joy. Great. Before the recording, Everett mysteriously mentioned he had a surprise for me. Must be the new holographic live streaming technology. Huh, impressive indeed. The assistant director, stroking his chin in thought, remarked, this technology is incredible. The images are as real as life itself. But, director, wasn't this holographic tech not yet officially released? Could this be real? This island used to be a military base and was abandoned for reasons unknown, with recent news constantly hinting at a possible zombie outbreak. Could something have actually happened? Should we make a call to check? Zombies? Don't be ridiculous. The director general casually waved his hand. Didn't you see? The satellite phone is broken. Don't worry. I can guarantee there are no real zombies. We finally made it to a small cabin in the mountains, where a few survivors from the production team were also sheltering. We all squeezed into the cabin overnight, without water or food, hoping to leave the deserted island the next day. However, from dawn until nearly sunset the next day, no one came to rescue us. Zombies aimlessly wandered outside the cabin, occasionally lunging at the windows, emitting fierce growls. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm going out to find something to eat and check if the production team's boat has arrived. Anyone coming with me? I gripped my spear tightly and strapped a small knife to my leg. Esme's eyes lit up, and she licked her dry lips. How about this? Let the men go with Summer, and we women will stay in the cabin. Bring back extra food, please. Elise, puzzled, asked, why should Summer go? She doesn't know martial arts. It should be you, Esme, right? Esme, we're all counting on you. I remember reading about how you single-handedly took down several robbers during an overseas trip. While I was tying my shoelaces, I couldn't help but snort with laughter. That trip was a graduation journey with classmates. During the robbery, Esme just screamed and cried, while I took down 3 or 4 robbers. Somehow, the story later got pinned on her. Forget it. If she doesn't want to go, who's with me? Perhaps my sarcasm was too obvious, as Esme's face turned red, hearing this. Elise immediately jumped up in defense. Summer, going there will just slow us down. What hero do you think you are? Exactly, look at what you can actually handle. Bringing yourself back in one piece would be good enough. We can't expect you to bring back anything else. While everyone was praising Esme and disparaging me, Esme awkwardly fiddled with the hem of her shirt, too scared to refuse at that moment. It's okay. I'll keep an eye on her. Let's go together. Summer, Esme. You're really kind-hearted, finding food for us and even looking after this dead weight. Be careful. Elise handed her own knife to Esme for protection. In the cabin, there were 10 people left. Me, Esme, and Easton Donovan went out to look for food. The others stayed here. The cabin had 2 doors, front and back. According to the plan, Easton Donovan would exit through the front door, making a bit of a commotion to draw away all the zombies. Then Esme and I would slip out the back door. Everything went smoothly at first. After Donovan dashed out the front door, he stood there and shouted deliberately, "Come at me." Once he had attracted most of the zombies, he and his companion turned and ran. Just as Esme and I were sneaking out the back door, Esme suddenly let out a scream. I turned around and saw that there was a zombie standing under the big tree nearby. Although the tree was a bit of a distance away, we could have run outward, but Esme froze in fear. After a moment, she suddenly turned and rushed back towards the back door, yelling, "Elise, quick, open the door." Unaware of what was happening, Elise pushed the wooden door outward. "Esme, did you forget something?" Elise, holding the door with one hand and leaning out halfway through the frame, saw the zombie charging towards them. Esme screamed, grabbed Elise by the collar, and yanked her out forcefully. Elise fell to the ground, and Esme quickly shut the door. The live chat exploded. "Oh my God. What did I just see? No way. Why would Esme do that? Elise is her fan. Weren't they supposed to be looking for food? Why did she run back? She really got Elise killed. Look, the zombie is pouncing. I'm so scared, and we can't even pause the live stream. Help, Elise is done for." Elise sat on the ground, frantically pounding on the door. "Esme, please open the door. Open it now." But no matter how much she knocked, Esme wouldn't open it. As the zombie closed in, its foul stench overwhelming, Elise closed her eyes in utter despair. Just in the nick of time, I took a running start and leaped into the air, kicking the zombie off its feet. Holy crap, did you guys see Summer fly? Mom, is she on wires? How did she jump so high? The expected pain never came. Elise opened her eyes just in time to see me kneeling on the zombie's shoulder, pulling my dagger out of its forehead. Elise gasped. "Summer." More zombies were approaching from behind the cabin. I grabbed Elise. "No time to talk. Just follow me." Holding Elise's hand, I ran forward, glancing back as we went. All the survivors had gathered in the cabin. Originally, many zombies roamed this area, some chasing after Donovan, the rest wandering in the nearby woods. Heard our noises and gradually emerged from behind various trees to join the pursuit. This scene is too intense. Look at that zombie, its intestines hanging out. I can see the tree behind through its stomach. What kind of effects are these? Honestly, I doubt this is real. I mean, with Elisa's poor acting skills, she couldn't possibly convey that shock, confusion, anger, and despair. Man, you spotted the key point. Elise really couldn't produce that effect. Can the authorities send someone to check on this? As the audience's doubts about the show grew, we were oblivious, with me just pulling Elise along, running headlong. The island had many weathered cliffs with narrow paths weaving through them. Elise and I ran into one of these paths, and just as we turned a corner, we ran straight into 5 or 6 zombies. Elise screamed in terror as 6 or 7 zombies chased us, with more blocking our path ahead. We were stuck on a narrow mountain trail with nowhere to run. "Summer, we're going to die here," Elise sobbed. "I'm sorry for misunderstanding you before. You're actually a good person. I shouldn't have insulted you." Elise clung tightly to my hand, pressing her body against the mountain wall, crying so hard that bubbles formed at her nose. If only I had studied hard, obediently gone home to take over the family business, and stayed out of showbiz. "Mom, I'm so sorry," she lamented. "You idiot. They said this show would make me famous, but it looks like it's going to cremate me instead. I don't want to turn into a zombie. Remember to scatter my ashes in the sea." She cried while talking rapidly. I impatiently pulled my arm away from her and stepped in front of her. "Shut up, you're so noisy." "Elise, stand still and don't move." With one hand, I shielded her behind me, and with the other, I drew my knife from its sheath. The silver blade glinted, and the head of the closest zombie neatly fell off. Blood splattered everywhere. Elise stared dumbfounded, her mouth agape wide enough to fit an egg. 2 more zombies lunged at us. I leaped high, performing a split in the air, kicking one with my left leg and stabbing the other in the forehead with my short knife. As the zombies swarmed us, I danced my blade through them, creating a blur of motion. Blood flew and bodies thudded to the ground. Minutes later, the trail was devoid of any standing figures except us. A breeze wafted by, carrying the pungent scent of blood directly to our noses. Elise slid down the mountain wall, back against it, her eyes hollow. Eventually, she sank to the ground, her gaping mouth finally closing. Oh my God, I grabbed some wild grass to wipe the blood off my knife. 2 knives would have been better. This one isn't quick enough. The live comments exploded. OMG, 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 bro, she's a savior. Summer is a savior. No stunt coordinator could ever pull off that kind of scene. I'm absolutely astounded. Summer is a martial arts genius. OMG, with those skills, why would she need Esme as a stunt double? So Esme was lying all along, right? Forget that liar. Summer, fight again. I want to see more. After a while, Elise came to her senses, suddenly jumped up, and excitedly hugged my leg. Summer, your kung fu is incredible. Esme was lying all this time, wasn't she? You didn't need a stunt double at all. Damn, I can't believe I fell for her lies. I explained how I had to find a stunt double because of an injury I suffered. Hearing this, Elise became even more indignant. That damn woman, forcing you to consider leaving with your skills. Let it go. It's the apocalypse. What's the point in holding grudges now? I waved it off nonchalantly. My martial arts teacher always said I was exceptionally gifted but often couldn't control my strength, hitting too hard. After entering showbiz, I had always held back. Now, unleashing against zombies without any moral qualms felt incredibly refreshing. We might as well clean up all the zombies on this island. Since we're going to be living here a long while, it'll be much better than hiding all the time. Absolutely, you're totally right, Elise agreed, her face full of admiration as she clung to my arm. On our way to find food, once again, we encountered a few zombies. There weren't many, at most just 3 or 4 scattered around. Elise was completely unfazed, standing to the side with her arms folded, watching me fight. When I performed a particularly impressive move, she clapped excitedly. Wow, you're so awesome, Summer, amazing, that high kick of yours. Elise was dancing around with excitement, completely oblivious to a zombie that was sneaking up behind her. We were too far apart. I couldn't make it to her in time. Damn, not this situation again. Honestly, with Summer here, I'm not worried at all. She's great, but she's no magician. Elise is really in trouble now. After dealing with the nearby zombies, I shouted, Elise, duck. Then, with a flick of my wrist, I threw my dagger, hitting the zombie right in the forehead. Damn, that was like little Lee's flying dagger. When she saved Esme before, I thought she was being reckless, but now I realize, that's confidence. My mom asked why I was kneeling to watch this live. Elise, pale-faced, patted her chest. Summer, you saved my life again. I owe you so much. How about I become your follower? Oh, your talents are too poor. Get lost. Elise, a delicate heiress, idolizes those with high combat skills. She used to blindly support Esme, and now she's fawning over me like a puppy. She's young, and after listening to her non-stop praises, my annoyance slowly faded. Forget it. There's no point in arguing with a young girl like that. There was a freshwater lake in the mountains, and Elise and I ran to the lake and drank our fill. After that, we filled up our water bottles. The bottles were carried by the staff, and there were only 2, so with so many people in the house, each person would only get a few sips later. It's fine, let's just get through these 2 days, and by then the zombies outside should be dealt with. Elise was optimistic. There are only a few dozen of us from the crew on this island, and you took down more than a dozen today alone. I think you can clear out those zombies in 2 or 3 days. After filling the bottles, I speared a few fish, and Elise and I started a fire to cook them. It seemed that the thick smoke from the fire was seen by others, and after a while, there was a rustling in the nearby bushes and a figure emerged. Easton, I looked around and didn't see Donovan. My brow furrowed. Donovan, is he in trouble? I don't know. He should be fine. Donovan runs fast. We got separated. Easton, out of breath, came over to us and unceremoniously snatched the grilled fish from Elisa's hand. devouring it voraciously and then grimacing. "This fish is tasteless. If you don't like it, go grill your own," Elise snapped, rolling her eyes as she tried to grab Easton's fish. Easton dodged and shouted, "You little brat. Don't you know how to respect your elders? What status do you think you have to yell at me?" Easton, who debuted early and is known for his acting skills, has always maintained a veteran persona in the industry, always polite to everyone, suddenly showing this side of himself. Elise was stunned and then scoffed. "No wonder they said you made your debut by selling your ass. With that kind of quality." I was taken aback, my eyes widened, and I involuntarily moved closer to them. "What do you think you are?" Elise, furious, jumped up, and the two of them had a loud argument, spilling numerous secrets about the dark and light sides of the entertainment industry. My mouth was agape, even wider than when Elise saw me fighting the zombies. The audience in front of the screen was numb. This show is really something. I'm crying. Elise really treats us like we're family. Easton is incredible too. Has he lost his mind? Does he not want to work in showbiz anymore? Maybe they really don't think they can make a comeback. That's why they're being so casual. Those zombies are real, aren't they? They won't come running out, will they? Someone call the police. This needs to be handled. As the two argued, Easton suddenly became agitated and threw a powerful punch at Elisa's temple. Elisa's body shuddered and she collapsed to the ground instantly. They were so close to each other, and I was still in shock from the gossip. I couldn't intervene in time. "Come on, Esme, get out here and help." Easton turned and shouted. After a moment, Esme emerged from behind a large tree, spear in one hand and dagger in the other. Seeing me still standing there, Esme was shocked. "Easton, are you freaking stupid? Didn't I tell you to take care of Summer first? Are the two girls not the same? Why are you making such a fuss? If it weren't for you seeing me use Donovan as a shield, do you think I'd bother with you?" I stood still, and Easton and Esme started arguing again. It turned out that after we left, the people in the cabin had no idea what was happening outside. Encouraged by everyone, Esme was also forced to leave the cabin to look for food. Fortunately, the zombies had been drawn away by us, and she didn't encounter any on her way. Halfway there, Esme ran into Donovan and Easton. Donovan had sprained his ankle trying to save Easton when a zombie attacked. Easton pulled Donovan in front of himself and ran away without looking back. After running a few steps, he ran straight into Esme, who then threatened him to help find me and Elise, and then take me out when I was off guard. I couldn't help but laugh. True partners in crime. You and Esme use similar tactics. Are you afraid Elise will expose your true self in front of everyone once we get back? Esme stood her ground defensively, glanced hesitantly at Easton, then at me. "Summer, if there's anyone to blame, it's you for getting in my way. Do you know how hard I've worked? No matter how well I perform, I'm always second to you in the eyes of our teachers. When agencies come to the school to pick actors, everyone recommends you, even though I'm so much prettier." Esme's voice was hoarse, and I was dumbfounded, trying hard to perform well, so, consistently ranking last was also due to your efforts. "That's quite the achievement." "Ah," Esme screamed, her face contorted. "Summer, you always act so superior, easily obtaining what others desperately strive for. Do you know what I've sacrificed for all this? Director Everett, that dead pervert, he's not even human." As Esme spoke, tears suddenly streamed down her face. "The entertainment industry is a cesspool. Everyone is mired in filth. Why should you be the only one clean and pure?" Why, perhaps these words struck a chord with Easton. He looked at Esme in surprise, with a hint of sympathy. "So it was you who lied back then? You really went all out." Esme wiped her tears fiercely. "Yes, it was me. I was right there when Director Everett called you." Easton's face turned pale, but Esme suddenly let out a bitter laugh. "Stop pretending, Easton. We're cut from the same cloth. We have no money, no connections. You can only ever be a stepping stone for others. Kill her, and you can continue being your celebrated actor self. No one will ever know what happened today." Spurred by Esme's incitement, Easton charged at me with a roar. I responded with a punch, and in the next second, Easton too collapsed next to Elise, eyes rolling back, body limp. Seeing the situation turn sour, Esme took off running. "What are you guys doing?" Just then, a group of figures ran towards us from a distance, Emerson leading the pack, excitedly waving his hands. "A boat's come to pick us up. A boat's come to pick us up." It turned out that during the filming, The production crew sensed something was off. Given the involvement of numerous high-profile celebrities, the crew didn't dare take any chances and spent a considerable amount hiring armed mercenaries to come and check on the island. We had wasted most of the day here, but the crew had already successfully coordinated with the mercenaries. Breathlessly, Emerson confronted us. "What's going on here, Summer? Why did you just hit Easton?" Before I could explain, Esme, sobbing, threw herself into Emerson's arms. "It was her. She's to blame for everything. She harmed Elise and tried to kill us to cover it up." Esme pinned everything she and Easton had done onto me, crafting a tale where I used Elise as a shield, fearing she might reveal the truth, and even committed murder when she and Easton unfortunately witnessed it. She erupted into a performance that might have been her career's peak, moving and tearful. I was dumbfounded. "Esme, what are you playing at? Don't you remember, there's a drone live streaming everything?" I pointed upwards, but just then the drone had moved behind a large tree. Esme looked up to see nothing but the clear blue sky and clouds. She was overjoyed. "Perfect, even the heavens are helping me." "Emerson, you have to be careful with Summer." Other people gradually arrived, and Emerson had seen me hit Easton himself. The evidence was undeniable. Esme, being popular and well-connected in the entertainment industry, had most people on her side. "Take her back to the police," Emerson said sternly, ordering people to carry Elise and Easton to the boat. I couldn't let them leave me alone on the island, so I had to cooperate for now. Several crew members flattered Esme. "We just saw a bunch of zombie bodies on the way here." "That was your handiwork, wasn't it, Esme? You're incredible." Esme forced a smile, her mind obviously elsewhere as she watched Elise being carried into the cabin. If Easton woke up, he would surely side with her, but Elise must not be allowed to live. The mercenaries, armed with guns, quickly swept the island, even finding Donovan, severely injured and unconscious. Donovan was lucky. When zombies attacked, he fought desperately and limped towards a cliff, in his attempt to escape a few zombies. He fell right into a pile of zombie bodies I had killed. The area was thick with the stench of decay, and other zombies did not approach. With many dead or injured, out of 60 or so crew members who landed on the island, less than 10 left alive. Everyone was despondent, hiding in the cabin, silent. I was bound hand and foot, thrown into a cabin, and left unattended, leaning against the cabin wall. I drifted into a drowsy sleep. Halfway through, I sensed someone sneaking into the cabin and immediately raised my head alertly. Esme stood by the cabin door, holding a dagger. With a smug grin, she teased, "Senior sister, always on alert, aren't you?" "It's you," came the reply. "What, planning to kill me to keep me quiet?" Esme raised an eyebrow. "Right on the mark. Once you and Elise are gone, no one will know about what I've done." "Ha ha ha, are you an idiot, Esme? When you attacked Elise at the cabin door, there were several drones in the sky. It's already chaos out there. Once you return, Elisa's family won't let you off easily." "Ha, don't scare me. How could there be so many drones? Besides, with all those trees around the cabin, the drones couldn't have caught anything." Esme didn't believe it. In reality, the situation was so urgent at that moment I hadn't noticed whether any drones had captured her attacking Elise. It was just a bluff. Esme approached me, positioning a dagger against my chest and thrusting it downwards forcefully, stopping just an inch from my chest. She laughed heartily, then playfully slapped my face with the flat of the blade. "But don't worry, I can't bear to see you die just yet. I'll kill Elise first, and then cut your ropes, making it look like you killed Elise to silence her. I just love the idea of watching you unable to defend yourself in front of the media. A former top actress turned murderer. I wonder, how well will you be treated in prison?" After a bout of laughter and more nonsensical talk, Esme walked away triumphantly. She intended to kill Elise, but it wasn't so easy. Several injured people were all in one cabin, guarded by a doctor. Esme hesitated several times, unable to find the right moment to strike. However, she felt relieved when the team doctor mentioned that Elise was severely injured. With a possibility of becoming vegetative, the boat soon docked, and as we disembarked, media cameras pointed at us like weapons. "Look, they're coming out. Captain, did you really kill zombies? Are there many zombies on the island? Did you bring back a live zombie? Will there be an apocalypse?" The reporters swarmed towards the leader of the mercenaries, who coldly waved his hand. "This involves military secrets." No comment. the crowd hesitated to probe further and rushed to interview us instead. But before the reporters could speak, Esme started recounting the events tearfully in front of the media, wrapped in a blanket, her hair messy and face pale. Tears filled her innocent-looking eyes. "I don't understand why this happened. We all came from the same school, and our teacher always said to learn humanity along with martial arts. How could Summer harm anyone?" Esme shook her head as she cried. "Please give her another chance. In situations like that, it's instinct to selfishly seek survival. I believe Summer didn't mean it." Esme cried pitifully, and the other crew members were visibly indignant, but surprisingly, all the journalists remained silent. Esme continued sobbing. "Poor Elise, who knows if she'll ever wake up? The doctor said even if she does, she might have amnesia or be mentally disturbed. She's only 19 years old." Clearly worried that Elise might speak the truth if she recovered, Esme was already setting the stage. The response to her was more silence, with a few reporters exchanging glances. Esme started to sense the odd atmosphere. "Why aren't you speaking?" The reporters turned to me. "Summer, do you have anything to say?" I scoffed. "Listen to her spouting nonsense." "Humph, still spewing nonsense even when facing death." Easton had woken up by then, propping himself up from the stretcher. He firmly grasped the hand of the medical staff beside him. "Thank you all for making the trip." Cough, cough, cough. "Summer, I never thought I did anything to offend you before. But I never expected you to harm me like this." Easton hung his head, his expression one of disappointment mixed with anger, injustice, and confusion. His acting was so convincing that he could have won an Oscar for it. Hearing him say this, the rest of the crew became agitated. "It must be Summer who did it." Easton said so himself. "There must be no mistake." "Summer, do you have anything else to say?" Silence. Silence was the Cam River tonight. All the journalists suppressed their laughter. Shoulders shaking, eyes darting between Easton and Esme, never resting for a moment, Esme and Easton started to dramatically accuse me, singing in tune with each other, painting me as utterly villainous, enough to die of shame. Emerson watched intently. "Summer, just turn yourself in to the police. This island isn't beyond the law." Esme also appeared sincere. "Sister Summer, please turn yourself in. I'll plead with Easton to forgive you and try to get you a lighter sentence." Finally, someone couldn't hold it in anymore. Snort. "Ha ha ha." Once someone started laughing, the other journalists couldn't contain themselves and burst out laughing, giving Esme thumbs up while laughing. "Wow, what acting skills." Esme turned pale, not understanding why everyone was laughing. "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" Amidst the laughter, someone showed Esme footage captured by a drone on their phone. "Easton, are you an idiot? Didn't I tell you to take care of Summer? You don't know how twisted Director Everett is." "Easton, we're cut from the same cloth." The choppy audio amplified through the speakers made everything clear to everyone present. Esme's face turned deathly pale, unable to withstand the mental pressure. She fainted. Easton's pupils dilated. "Impossible. How could there be a drone there?" I checked. There was no drone. "It's fake. All of this is fake. It's slander. Someone is slandering me." But no one paid him any attention anymore. And the medical staff, after watching the video, disgustedly threw the stretcher on the ground. Soon, the police arrived and took the crew members away. Reality is always harsher than one expects, and while the two were still trying to pull strings through their connections, the first to turn against them was their former talent agency. All contracts were terminated, and besides facing criminal charges, they also had to pay a huge penalty for breaching their agreements. The scandal revealed in front of the cameras caused a major shock in the entertainment industry. Director Everett was quickly audited by the tax authorities, and many former fans turned their backs. It's so disappointing. They all look so glamorous on the surface, but they're so disgusting behind the scenes. Yeah, who would have thought? I've been a fan of Easton for 10 years. Sigh. Forget it. It's all just an image. It's better to think about what to do if the end of the world comes. On the island, it was confirmed that the crew turned into zombies due to mutated military experimental materials left behind. The island was quarantined, and the contagion did not spread. But many people were already scared, beginning to stockpile food and exercise. As a martial arts actress, my identity received enthusiastic acclaim. Elise and Donovan woke up later, and we appeared together for an interview. Donovan shrugged. "I didn't steal Easton's role. He was unavailable, and the director found me. I haven't cheated either." I'm not even close with that female celebrity. Forget it, you wouldn't believe me anyway. I guess if it weren't for the live broadcast, you wouldn't believe me this time either. Elise also felt deeply, ah. This incident has really disappointed me. Everything in the entertainment industry is fake. What is even real anymore? I took the microphone from her hand. Experiences can be fabricated, and public personas can be faked, but the skills you learn yourself will never let you down. Many people are easily dazzled by glamorous things and overlook the essence of matters. Sometimes you indeed lack the ability to discern beautiful lies. Remember then, to make yourself better. Cultivate richer knowledge and a healthier body. The energy you invest in yourself is what's truly real.